All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to recap the Mets versus Nationals four-game set, as well as all of the latest news and rumors in New York Mets land. But before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are recorded live after every single series of games during the regular season. And for those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns. And if you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored, you're just going to be starred throughout the show. We'll try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for my co-host right here on the screen, Frank's instant reactions following every single regular season game, which are titled the Mets Frankly post game. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all of your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So, going on to episode number 130 of our show. After a eventful 4-game series in Washington, D.C., some heartbreak, some frustration, some explosion, some blow-ups, some blowouts. This series had it all. One of the most crazy series I've seen them play in a long time. Frank, I think you can easily agree. 4-game sets usually have a lot of events in them. We just had one finish up with St. Louis last week, and in DC, which seems to be a place where the Mets like to go rogue at, whether it's from the good side or the bad side.
Yeah, there was good, there was bad. Like you said, I blew up. I did all the above. I mean, pretty much every emotion you could experience as a fan, we saw it in this 4-game set. You felt good, you felt not good, you felt concerned, you felt great. I mean, like it was just a very weird series. I mean, no doubt about it. Luckily, they get away with the split, but honestly, I mean, seeing that the two losses were by 1 runs, and especially the way Game 3 went, they easily could have won the series and had a chance to sweep it too. I mean, some of the same issues came up that we know as far as leaving the men on base and not capitalizing with certain opportunities, but also, I mean, I said in the third recap, but the bullpen. I mean, it really just kind of fell apart here. There was some injuries going on. There were some guys that were overworked. I mean, there was guys with hips and there all kinds of things going on here. So I understand why the bullpen wasn't spotless. I understand why Carlos Mendoza, if he really, really wanted to, maybe could have won that third game. If he was more aggressive, like using all of his best relievers, like maybe you actually could win that game if you absolutely have to. But you shouldn't have to do that because you had multiple guys here who didn't come through. It's like we talk about when we talk about the cleanup spot last episode, but certain guys have to step up. I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to, is that, you know, if Diaz is either not doing well or they're just working him just very lightly, like they're not trying to overdo it with him, these other relievers have got to step up. I mean, that just has to happen. There's just no way about it, because even if we had 2022 Diaz that's like lights out, you still need everyone else to step up because he cannot pitch every day. So I definitely was very concerned with what I saw from a lot of the relievers. It was very, very frustrating to see it happen because you're up 7-1 late in the game and you're like, oh, we're good here. We got this. And then, you know, you see it go 7-6 and you're like, oh, this is, I mean, it got close, but we're still going to hang on, right? And then to lose 8-7, I mean, just absolutely crazy. So that was frustrating. You know, some of the defensive miscues in game 1 with throwing the ball to third base when there's no one on that side of the field. I mean, there was stuff like that that came up too. And then in that last game, you all of a sudden you see a crazy amount of offense hitting well with runners in scoring position. A lot of different guys stepping up. So it was just very. It's just hard to know what to make of it because, like I said, you saw some bad things, but also some good things. So it was just a weird series. I mean, that's could be a little bit of playing a division team. The Mets have had some bad games in Nationals Park. I mean, that's how it's been. They've had a lot of blowups, bullpen meltdowns. That's all happened. And what's interesting is that we talked about last time the Mets record at home was it like something and one, like it's great. Their record on the road so far is 8-8. I mean, I feel like that's something that like is worth monitoring. They are back home for this Diamondback series. That's great, but they have not been great on the road. So, I mean, we'll see if that trend continues, but I did find that very fascinating. You're talking about like a dominant team versus just a all right team. So I did find that pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think right now, it really was an example of how we know that this team was capable of probably taking all 4 games. I think we all knew that they were. But I think that the lesson learned here, and we've said it multiple times with some of the sloppy play that they have had, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And that happened twice in this game, whether it was from the bullpen melting down, defensive miscues, or maybe a little bit of the human element that we'll obviously get into. But speaking of the bullpen, I actually do want to address this real quick. It looks like we are getting news at this current moment, just as we just went live, that season-ending surgery is a possibility for AJ Minter. Now, AJ Minter could be, there could be a concern here. So most likely, we're not going to see him for quite a while, whether it is the good news or not. It looks like it's something to do with his lat. Carlos Mendoza said that is a pretty significant injury. Now, obviously, AJ Minter was originally on our injury report, which we will get eventually into of everything that's been going on. But this is the latest update that we got. So that is not a great thing. Let's just say that with how much of a contributor we expected AJ Minter to be. So it looks like season-ending surgery could be on the table for AJ Minter, which really, really sucks and is a huge, huge hit to this bullpen, which is something that, I think we do need to come into focus of as well, especially from the left side, because he was definitely someone who we expected to be giving that platoon a little bit more of a boost there and definitely deepening this pen. So definitely quite a hit there. So again, we'll see what is going to happen with AJ Minter. As for some other stuff, Brandon Nimmo, who had the 9 RBI game yesterday, and we will get into that, is not in the lineup today because it seems like he's has some kind of illness. So I don't know if, he was, licking stamps along with Paul Blackburn or whatever. But that is also not some fun news after we saw
he's
Nimmo
allergic
finally
to actually
going.
Being productive. Like he finally got so many hits or runs to scoring position that it made him sick. I mean, so he's just not used to it. It's like getting allergies. Like you have a sudden change and now all of a sudden you don't feel well. He's allergic to getting RBIs.
We really are. We are really. We're really hitting a stage where Nimmo is a public enemy now. I don't like this at all. Anyways. So as for any of you guys in the chat, D coming in here saying, let's go Mets. Absolutely. Carlos Ramos, Ranger Central, which is also Evan, Matt as well, his co-host. I'm pretty sure they just finished up a show. So welcome in here. Daniel as well. Jose coming in here to give a like. We definitely recommend that as well. If you guys have not already, thumbs up the stream. Thumbs up the stream as well for AJ Minter, who fly high. That's what we have to say. Fly high, rest in peace to AJ Minter. No, he's not dead, but his roster spot, most likely. Ibby saying Carson likes Minter. Minter hurt. Blame Carson. Yeah, go ahead. Why not? Who's going to bring the boom now? Big boom AJ. I have no idea. We'll have to figure it out. But at some point, they're going to have to piece some things together with that bullpen, because we all know that even though they took quite a few weeks before they made a transaction, they did not really make that many of many transactions until like the few weeks into the season. Now they're going to have to work around it. We know that there is somebody in AAA who has been half and half and struggling and still trying to get there in Danel Nunez. And we are getting notice as well that it is a torn lat for AJ Minter. So that is not great. But again, I think, again, we will see how they fix around this. We saw David Stearns be very proactive on the market last year, flip the bullpen around as much as they have. So we'll see what they do eventually, how they work around it, but definitely a huge loss for the Mets bullpen going forward, especially with the bullpen struggles that we saw in this series. Definitely a piece that you're taking out of the equation that is not great. But other than that, I do want to get into what happened in this series that was very, very eventful, like we said. 4 games in Washington, D.C., ended up being a split, and we will get into all the notes that we have for this series going forward, and things that we like, things that we dislike, because it was definitely a mixed bag. But going into the rundown for this series of what happened, let's start off with Game 1. Kodai Senga would make his 5th start of the year, and although he wasn't as sharp, battling through defensive miscues in the outfield, he still was effective. 3 innings of 2-run ball, struck out 5, walked 2 on 96 pitches. The Mets offense would be silent through 7 innings against Jake Irving. Once again, I'm pretty sure for like the 4th time in their history, helped by a controversial triple play that was deemed unreviewable. Huskar Brazaban would come in for the 7th and get dinked and dunked around all inning. The Nationals would take a 3-0 lead, but the Mets would come alive, finally knocking Irvin out of the game after a 2-out single by Juan Soto and a walk to Pete Alonso. Brandon Nimmo would get the Mets on the board with an infield RBI single toward the middle of the diamond, and the Nationals would go to their best reliever in Kyle Finnegan after everyone would move up a base. Mark Vientos would give the Mets a 4-3 lead with an opposite field parachute to right field that would get past Dylan Cruz to turn into a 3-run triple for the known speedster, as we all know, in Mark Vientos. Reed Garrett would come on and retire the side in order in the 8th with help from Tyrone Taylor throwing out Luis Garcia trying to stretch to a double, and Ryan Stanek would come in for the 9th for the save opportunity and surrendered a leadoff triple to Dylan Cruz after Juan Soto dropped a fly ball in right field. That run would come on in to score an RBI single by Jose Tana to tie the game at 4. Stanek would then get the next out, and he would be replaced by AJ Minter, who get the 2nd out on a force play, but with a runner at first and 2 out, James Wood would mildly roll a ground ball toward the second base. Jeff McNeil would bobble it, and it would roll into center field. Tyrone Taylor would throw home, but it would be too late. C.J. Abrams would come around to score to walk off the Mets in Game 1, 5-4. Game 2, Clay Holmes would get his 6th start of the year and continued to progress as a starter, tossing 5 scoreless innings, including 10 ground ball outs on the day, striking out just 2 on just 70 pitches due to some time lost in the rain delay. The Mets' only runs of the game would come in the 2nd after a 1-out single by Jesse Winker. Francisco Alvarez would slap his first home run of the year, a 2-run shot to give the Mets a 2-0 lead. Francisco Lindor would have yet another 3-hit game, and the bullpen would hold it from there. Danny Young would work around a leadoff single and have a strike out the next 3 batters to toss a scoreless 8th. Reed Garrett would work around 2 singles for a clean 7th. AJ Minter would come on for the 8th, get 1 out, but leave with an injury, as we just said, which could be season-threatening. More on that later, or as we've already described. Max Krenick would come on to finish the inning and do just that after walking his first hitter to keep the Nats off the board. Edwin Diaz would come on for the 9th and work around a 1-out walk and strike out 3 batters to close out the game. In Game 2, 2-0. Game 3, Tylor Megill would continue his great start to 2025. More on that later, surrendering a home run for the first time in the year this year in the 2nd, but he would hold that through 6 innings, striking out 9 on 105 pitches. He'd leave the game during the 7th after getting one out and surrendering a run after a double and an RBI single by Josh Bell. But it seemed to be okay because the offense would jump all over Mitchell Parker in the first inning. Mark Vientos would open up the scoring with a sacrifice fly with the bases loaded to make it 1-0. Brandon Nimmo would make it 2-0 on a sacrifice fly of his own. Luis Torrens would add on to the lead later on with a 2-run single to make it 4-0 Mets. And Luis Angel Acuna would make it 5-0 with an RBI single. The Mets would add yet another run in the second with an RBI force out by Starling Marte to score Juan Soto to make it 6-0. Luis Torrens would then plate another run in the sixth with an RBI double to give the Mets a 7-1 lead. But after Megill exited the game, the Mets bullpen would implode in embarrassing fashion. Jose Butto would surrender the runner left on base by Megill, along with 3 hits to go with a 3-run homer to Riley Adams to make it a 7-6 game. Huascar Brazaban would struggle in the following inning, allowing a leadoff double and a walk and a hit by pitch, but he would escape the 8th with no runs coming across. But Ryan Stanek would come on for the 9th and struggle as well, surrendering a leadoff double to Alex Call. CJ Abrams would tie the game at 7 with an RBI single. Stanek would walk James Wood with 1 out and 2 on. Luis Garcia would bounce a grounder to first. Ryan Stanek was too late getting off the mound. Pete Alonso would airmail the throw over Stanek. CJ Abrams would come around to score from second to walk off the Mets for the second time in this series, scoring 7 unanswered runs against the Mets bullpen to win Game 3 of the 4-game set, 8-7. And in Game 4, Griffin Canning would take the mound for the finale and work around base runners in every single inning, it looked like, but toss 5 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts on 90 pitches. Max Kranick would toss a scoreless 6th with a strikeout, and he would have gotten out there for more, but the offense would completely explode. So here is the full rundown. We're going to go as quick as we can. In the second, RBI double by Francisco Alvarez, 1-0 Mets. For Jeff McNeil, sacrifice fly, 2-0 Mets. In the 5th, Jeff McNeil solo home run, 3-0 Mets. In the 6th, Brandon Nimmo, 3-run homer, 6-0 Mets. And then it started to get a little bit nuts. RBI single by Pete Alonso, 7-0 Mets. Grand slam by Brandon Nimmo, 11-0 Mets. In the 8th, Brandon Nimmo would plate 2 more on an RBI double to make it 13-0 Mets to cap off a 9 RBI day that ties Carlos Delgado from back in 2008 for the most RBIs by a Met in a single game. But the Mets bats were not done. RBI ground out by Jeff McNeil, 14-0 Mets. Luis Angel Acuna, RBI single, 15-0 Mets. In the bottom of the 8th, Jose Urena would surrender 5 runs just to piss us off, but former Met Ahmed Rosario would take the mound in the 9th for more Mets offense. RBI single by Jesse Winker to make it 16-5 Mets, and a 3-run homer by Mark Vientos to make it a 19-5 game. And that's the way it would stand as Jose Urena would finally finish the game with his rubber arm, that is the original long relief type of arm, to cap off a full-on laugher in the series finale and settle for a 4-game split in D.C. The Mets are now 20-9 on the season with a solid 4.5-game lead on the Phillies for first place in the National League East. Now, plenty to unwrap with this series. A lot. So much went on, like we said. I don't even know where to start. But Frank, I'll let you run down as much as you can, because there is many things that happened in this series, and I don't think I can count them on my fingers. That was as eventful as this series was. Roller coaster of emotions, as per usual. Nuts of a series. Nuts. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was crazy. I mean, and let's start off with Game 1. I mean, that whole debacle that happened with the triple play, I mean, that really was crazy. This is now another series we've seen where it's just like, what is going on in Major League Baseball? I mean, we've seen a little too much of this, of like, it seems like stuff that you would think they would have done by now, considering how like replays have been going on for a few years now. Like you would think that some of the stuff they would have accommodated for, like why you would trap a ball in the outfield, you could review that, but you can't review a trap ball in the infield is crazy. Why one umpire said out at first base and the second base umpire said save, why you can't have a crew chief review and to have a discussion beyond me. Why you even have a replay that you could see, like if you just turn around umpires and look at the jumbo, well not the jumbo shot, but the scoreboard, like you could see that ball bounce. Like there's just so many different ways that this could have been avoided, yet it still happened and it was a triple play. Now, with how the Mets have been with runners in scoring position this season and men on base, does it make a difference in the amount of runs they score? Maybe, maybe not. But it did not do them any favors. I mean, it was a big time, it was obviously a rally killer, but it was also a momentum killer too. I mean, it was like, well, what is going on here? So that was just very, very confusing to me, that it was just so many different ways that it was brutal. And honestly, as the series progressed, even though you have a different umpire at first base every game, specifically at first, the calls were terrible this whole series. How many calls got overturned on both sides, mind you, on both sides? Like the Nationals were getting robbed, the Mets were getting robbed. It was at least 2 a game, if not, right? Didn't the Nationals one game, the Nationals challenged like 3 times, and they got all of them. Like, it was just crazy how many wrong calls there were on the bases. Like, that was just alarming. Like, that was just, it's annoying to watch as a fan because you're like, everything you got to review. I mean, come on now. It's like, let's move this along. It really was just not good at all. So, I mean, that just want to get that out of the way.
Meanwhile, Mr. Up Top wants to speed up the game, which it's not going to if you still have these umpires doing this. And I will say, listen, I talk about umpires not in behalf of my team, because obviously every single team is going to get bad calls against them or for them. It always happens in that way. I look at umpires as what you are doing to the product. I look at it as a baseball fan. If you are an umpire out there that clearly things are disagreeing or whatever within the crew or whatever, I mean, it was so bad. What was it? Alfonso Marquez was so bad in this series all around from every single base. He was just terrible. It's embarrassing to this game. And I don't say that as a Mets fan. I say that as a baseball fan. How do you blow calls like this? Because when you get shown up by instant replay constantly, and even though you can look at instant replay and instant, the game goes quick, balls are hit very hard, I get it. But the fact that we consistently see calls like this get overturned with instant replay, it just shows you how bad umpires have gotten since the game has continued to speed up. And I'm not saying this as, oh, well, you know, this never happens to any other team, because it does. It 100% does. But once again, these are professional umpires. I don't care if you get every call right, because no one's going to get every call right. But we're going to have to see consistency. And I'm not saying this as something as, well, you know, they're just bad at their job because the results show me, and on the screen, I thought that was a strike and you thought it was. Well, I want to see consistency, because there's plenty of times where there's a pitch on the outside corner, it gets called a ball, then it gets called a strike. Like, you need to have that consistency. You need to call things both ways. It can't be one-sided in that way. Not to mention, it's just with the umpires, we have seen them screw up foul or fair calls. I mean, it doesn't even matter if it gets overturned and that's the right. It just shows you that it's like these umpires, like they're blowing so many of these calls. And that's the whole thing that I just don't understand with this whole entire situation. There needs to be an account of, you know, a certain umpire, if they get this many of these calls overturned because they saw it and they didn't, someone's going to have to be held accountable. Because if somebody doesn't get held accountable, it's just going to continue. And we talk about this even with the Mets in the clubhouse when like mistakes happen and then they don't address it or whatever. and things continue to snowball. Same goes for the umpires too. This is so bad. It's such a bad look that we see umpires constantly getting showed up by instant replay in this way, because it just shows you how obsolete they have become and how unaware they've been of their surroundings constantly. Like, these are fuck ups that you should not see on a professional baseball diamond consistently. Everyone blows calls. We've seen blown calls before, but it's every single game. There's always a replay, and it always ends up getting overturned. That just should not be happening. Is it the old people? Do they just have cardiacs? Do they need glasses? Who knows? I don't know. Andrew, you make a good point there, but
I think you mean
it's just like,
but...
it's damaging to the product. It damages the product on the field. It really does. Whether it's against the Mets or not, it's just not great baseball. Like, it's just not a great way to view this game. It just isn't. Anyways.
Yeah, I feel like you don't want to see it happen to any team, like, especially like in a big game. Like, I mean, it could happen again. Like, it was a very rare play. I mean, triple plays don't happen often to begin with.
No, they don't.
But the way that one happened, where like it was a wrong call, because most time like it's a straight up line drive, like no dispute. But this one, like, it hits the ground and like he traps it, so it's like maybe he caught it, maybe it bounced. So it's like I don't want to see this happen in a big game for, like you said, for any team. I really don't want to see it happen. So that was just very frustrating. But still, I mean, like I said, we saw this was the beginning of like the bullpen meltdown, so to speak, with like Brazoban gives up a run, Stanek gives up 2 runs, and then Jeff McNeil, I mean, he makes a mistake too in this game at the end. I mean, last play, ball up the middle. It's like these are the things that drive me nuts. It's like if there's a runner on second, you dive to keep the ball in the infield.
That's another thing. Yeah. That's another thing about this, of how I don't look at this from a Mets fan. It's like, okay, well, yes, there was a blown triple play call. It was a bad call. But the Mets made so many mistakes in that game that they deserved to lose. They deserved it.
So, this is the thing, though, is that, like, McNeil not diving when there's a runner at second, and, like, to me, it's kind of like with Rangers talking about with Budo. Like, these are, like, not even minor league mistakes. These are, like, less than little league mistakes. I mean, Nimmo throwing the ball to third base when there's a guy in between first and second base, like, to me, it feels like this is happening. We're now in April, and how many episodes have I said this stuff where like they're doing these things? I don't remember this happening as much last year. As far as like you want to make mistakes, okay, but these are like you can't do these. Like these are like big no-nos. Like this stuff that like you shouldn't have to teach because you should already know. You should have learned it a long time ago. Like these are the kind of mistakes that these guys are making. And again, between Nimmo and McNeil, it's the veteran players. That's the part that frustrates me the most. If it was the rookies or guys who, I mean, whatever. But for the veteran players to be the ones making these mistakes, or Stanek being super late to cover at the end of the third game, like this stuff is happening all the time. And it's just very frustrating. And I'm like, what did we spend spring training doing? Because I just don't get it, how these guys are constantly making these little mistakes that like they should just never happen. And they happen multiple times, and it's only been the first month. So that stuff is also just extremely frustrating. And you know what? It's like the Mets, you feel like, maybe they had something going a little bit there as far as like just moving Acuna to the bench in that first game. Like it's tough because you see McNeil come in and he doesn't have the great first game. Overall in this series, he was not too great. I mean, he was okay that last game, but so was everybody. So I just feel like it's just a very odd to me that it's like you had this winning streak and then it's like you try to integrate these new players, but the guys who are still struggling, and Winker and Taylor, it's like those are the guys that stay in. So like that's the thing that's confusing to me, is that like if you even want to DH McNeil and let Acuna play second base, I'm not against that, but it's like if you have players who are going good for you, why are you taking them out of the lineup? And then what also drove me nuts, I can't believe that they got away with it because they scored so many runs, but Griffin Canning is a fly ball pitcher, and to put McNeil in center for the fly ball pitcher, I thought was crazy. It worked perfectly for Clay Holmes since he kept the ball on the ground the whole game, so I'm good with that. But it's like if you have Acuna in the lineup anyway, and he's so much faster, who actually has some experience in center field, why not just put him in center field? Like the way they're trying to force McNeil into center, I don't get that either. And I've said this before, but it's like, if Brandon Nimmo was paid to be a center fielder, why is he in left field and the guy who got paid to play second base is in center field? Like, it's something out of like a comedy skit, like stuff that you wouldn't even believe if we said this a few years ago. I mean, Carson, can you imagine when we started the show, even a couple years ago, we said, oh, you know what, McNeil's going to be one playing center field, not Brandon Nimmo. We wouldn't have believed it. But, like, it is reality. Nimmo is healthy, and, like, this is happening. And even Starling Marte, who also got paid to play center field, is now
we were having conversations when McNeil first got hurt in spring training. We were saying, oh, well, McNeil should not be playing the corner outfield.
They put him in center. They doubled down.
And then they end up putting him center right off of injury. Right off I think it's stupid to put McNeil in center field, but it seems like this is something that they really feel will be something that will push through for them. I don't know. I don't like it whatsoever. I also don't really like Brandon Nimmo being in center field anymore, to be honest. He's just starting to slow down. We already know that he is. As for his bat, it was on display yesterday. I just, listen, regardless of my thoughts about McNeil, when it comes to whether he's the best man for the job, because I was getting so much shit for it on Twitter after that game that, the ball goes past him and he ends up just, I just feel like the awareness of the situation, whether he was the right guy to do it or not. Because I keep getting people from saying, oh, well, McNeil's got the better range than Acuna, and he's got the this, and he's got the that. He's a better option in this. I don't care if he does, to be honest. And I'm a big stats guy. We know that he does. It's more of...
He doesn't have more range than him, though.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if he does or not. It does not matter to me, because anything that I can convince you to, anything that I try to convince anybody that Jeff McNeil is not the same player anymore, they just tell me to go fuck myself. So I don't even care at this point. But anyways, whether he has that range or not, the awareness that he had on that play was the reason why they lost that game. I don't want to hear anything about Juan Soto dropping a fly ball in right field on a fly ball that was supposed to be a home run in 3 different ballparks and was hit harder than what was it, like 2 times harder than the one originally.
Stadium right field. He's used to the Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium right field, any other right field,
and also,
whatever.
In fairness to Soto, when he was a National, he was playing left field, so he's not used to that big scoreboard out there. So that's another thing to consider, because he was always a left fielder until last year.
Yeah, sure. I mean, sure. Again, and I'm not saying that I'm going to excuse
because sometimes
Juan Soto's playing
your
outfield
ballparks. Like every now and then, like if you have a lot of experience, you know where the wall is, you know how to play it. I feel like he kind of snuck up on him because he's not used to playing right fielder. He was a left fielder.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's again like one of those things with his defense. I know that there is going to be some painful out there. It's all really about his bat getting going, which again, he was better in this series, but still not fantastic. Again, here's the thing with Jeff McNeil here. It has nothing to do with how I feel about him. It's all about just the general situation that it was in. C.J. Abrams is on first. One of the fastest guys in this game. You have a ground ball that is hit to your right. You dive for it to keep the ball on the infield so C.J. Abrams does not go to third or come home, because he is very, very quick. Now, why do you end up doing that? Oh, maybe it's because your center fielder is playing back? Like, again, it's the full-on awareness of that play that drives me nuts. And before anybody tells me, it's like, oh, well, he needs to be up. It's because of him. The ball went to you. The ball went to you. And before anybody tells me that Tyrone Taylor's throw was too late, the guy had to run 100 feet for the ball because Jeff McNeil did not dive for it. And it's the same thing with the Brandon Nimmo throwing to third base. Like I said, I didn't see that live, to be honest, but I saw it. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? For what reason? And these are types of mental mistakes that I'm looking at. And you're like, a professional baseball team should not be doing this on a regular basis. I don't care who has the better range, who has the better stats, who has the better shinier baseball savant page. You can't be making mistakes like that. Like I just said earlier in this show, you play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes, and it cost him that game in game 1.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of bad mistakes. It was just very frustrating to see it happen. And then it's like, the way they kept winning in walk-off fashion, too. I mean, you had, and I think it was C.J. Abrams that also scored game 3 for the walk-off run with the one that James Wood hit that went Alonso airmail Stanek because the veteran Stanek doesn't cover late. So it's like these little things by your veteran players, I mean, they do add up. And, eventually they'll face a really good team. Maybe. I don't know. Every time I say they play a good team, they end up not being that great. So eventually they'll face, I don't know, the Cubs, the Dodgers, more of these NL West teams. And then they'll see that you can't always get away with this kind of stuff. So that stuff is really just inexcusable. And, as far as the other issues we saw, I mean, the bullpen. I mean, it really was brutal, especially what happened in that third game. And it's kind of becoming a little bit of a trend, like with specific guys who are struggling. However, I just put in the chat, but it's like the Mets, they're making a lot of roster moves right now. I mean, obviously you have Minter down, you call up Urania, he's designated for assignment, so Hergert comes up. Now, he's on the way. So it's like there's a lot of moving pieces that's going on right now with this pitching. And I know that's because of the way the schedule is lining up. So if they're having bullpen issues now, it's only going to get worse with this next stretch of games that's coming up where you are doing 3 series in a row, no off days. That's going to be tough. I mean, it's 9 games in a row. There's traveling going on. I mean, between St. Louis and then going away to Arizona, you got multiple time zones. So guys are going to be tired. So they're going to really rely on the bullpen even more. And they're going to need these guys to come through. But, Buteau has not been good. And then Brazaban and Stanek. I mean, I feel like the magic is kind of wearing off on both of them. They are not as effective as they were. Stanek's not missing bats.
I'm not going to jump on that yet. But I do want to say one thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I will say that I will come to at a conclusion. With Brazaban, I think that actually he made a lot more better pitches than it has been displayed in this series. That I will say. Stanek seemed like he was just completely overthrowing, and they need to tame some stuff there because he's going to hurt himself as well.
I think it was yesterday.
He's going to hurt himself.
Not yesterday, the other day. He hit 1-on-1. That was not. That was cool, but it's not a good idea.
Yeah, it was nice, and obviously that you don't have to empty the tank in that way, and I don't like putting Stanek in the 9th inning now with that whole situation. We'll see what happens with Edwin Diaz's usage, of course, with his recent hip issues, and then them just taking it slow with it. But even though I feel like they should go all gas, no brakes with him, because again, it's a $102 million reliever. One thing that I will say throughout this entire year, and I don't think that this is being discussed as much. From visually, statistically, situationally, Jose Butto has been really bad this year. I'm not going to say that there hasn't been other cooks in the kitchen that have screwed some things up as well, and there hasn't been some plays that have not been fantastic, and there's been times where some of these guys just don't look great. I am not liking what I'm seeing from Jose Butto. I'm not liking the sequencing from Jose Butto. I am not liking the fact that he's just all over the place constantly, and we know that he was too wild. That's the main reason as to why I don't see him as a rotation option whatsoever anymore. But I don't like what I am seeing from Jose Butto, and it looks like he's just mailing it in, half of it. I don't know if this is a mental thing with him. The only problem that we are facing right now is it's either he really gets it together or we're putting this stuff really in danger here because he is out of minor league options. So if you were to send him down for like him to just reset a little bit, which I'm fine with if they want to do that, again, he's out of minor league options. Pretty sure. So again, I don't know if this is an overwork. I don't know if this is just, the usage. I don't know if it's that. But again, there have been many, many times already where he's not giving competitive pitches. He is leaving things over the plate. And there's things like that just cannot happen. And I don't want to see him spiral into this just because he's forcing his way into the strike zone and just throwing strikes because he's way too wild and he's overthinking this. I also just don't think his head's been screwed on straight so far this season. We know that whole thing in Minnesota. We know the amount of base runners that he has given up. I'm pretty sure there was like some kind of defensive miscue with him earlier on a few series ago where he caught a comebacker, or like he had like some kind of comebacker and he screwed up the play or whatever. I'm not seeing this steel arm that we were seeing last year from Jose Butto. We know that he started to tail off a little bit into the postseason. But I don't see him really as a arm that I can truly trust. I know at his best he can be trustworthy, but it's really, really hard to just, say that he hasn't been not as effective as compared to somebody else in this series. Because again, I'm trying not to completely flip out over multiple games because every reliever has bad games. But this, I feel like every week we're talking about a Jose Butto blow up or a Jose Butto outing where he's just not effective. And he's like, holding on to the hinges here as to where, we just completely see him blow up, but he can't go anywhere because he's out of minor league options. They still like him, but the only way that they can have him, not struggle is if they use him. And M. Easy saying you only use Butto in a clean inning. And that's the one thing that I'm trying so hard to just he has allowed 5. And I'm trying so hard to give the benefit of the doubt here because we've seen Butto have this success before. But, like you said, 5 of the 7 inherited runners he has allowed to score. I mean, that's not great. Again, like that is not great, especially with the amount of base runners and a clean inning. The problem that I have with this is what I was so confident about going into this season and how it has been to start the year as to where every single one of these pitchers have been effective in these high leverage situations. If we're going to have to limit the workload of what we need for Jose Butto, then we're going to have to find somebody else for that bullpen spot.
Yeah.
Because again, the only way that this team has been effective has been, of course, the pitching and the bullpen holding things down. And if we need to be like, oh, this specific situation for this guy, like, I don't know. I can't, I can't just be applying that and just saying, oh, well, we'll only give him a clean inning. Well, when are these clean innings going to happen? Because we've seen the starters run out of gas and give up base runners in the 6th inning before and things like that. There's been times where some of our other relievers don't have it because, again, it just limits you in the possibilities. And I know I do trust David Stearns to find trust David Stearns to find that type of arm if he needs to. But when it comes to Jose Butto, if we're limiting what he can do in a possibility, this is not great. That is not great, especially when you're talking about it from the overall workload of the other long relief guys. Even though we have multiple long relief guys in this bullpen, it's going to add up. And like we have said, there's going to be consecutive days where there's going to be no off days. So like you said, going forward, it's only going to get worse here with the workload. And if you have Jose Butto who's struggling like this and you can't use him in these certain situations, you're going to be shorthanded for a lot of these situations.
Yeah, you don't really have a choice here because, like you said, in an ideal world, sure, use them, clean inning, maybe go 2 innings, fine. But with the way it's set up right now, you're not going to get the opportunity, especially now you have the consecutive games, plus all the turnover that's going to be happening within these next couple of days of guys coming in and guys going out. So you're going to have just a whole bunch of different guys in separate situations. The one guy, 2 guys who have been quite well with runners on base, especially Reed Garrett. He has been money with men on, but number one, Reed Garrett can't pitch every game, and number 2, with the way it's going, Reed Garrett's turning out to be one of their best relievers. So you might want to move him a little further down into more high leverage stuff, and someone else going to have to take that role. So it's kind of tough. Like you said, Diaz is really the key here. Like they got to figure out what's going on there because if he's another one where like he can only pitch one day and then he gets a day off, and then pitch one day, like. That's hard to manage. Like you said, like you're playing extra short-handed, and it comes to a point where it's like, well, who are you going to use? Because then you overwork guys, and then guys get injured, and we've already seen a couple of injuries. So it's not looking great right now. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. And the starters, I mean, they're starting to go deeper into the game. They're throwing more pitches, so they're trying to hold up their end of the bargain. But the relief pitchers, I mean, it just has not been the same. I mean, even like 7-1, as deep as it was in the game, it really stinks because Megill had a great start and it just got totally erased by the bullpen. And for Budo, it's like because he's been so bad with the inherited runners, he's been good when the bases are empty. So what's happening is that it's making Tylor Megill's stats worse, but not Budo's stats. So if you're someone who is not like watching all the games, or you're not a Mets fan, and you just kind of look at the stats, you're just looking at ERAs, you're like, oh, Budo hasn't been that bad. But it's like if you actually show like who scored when he was the one pitching, like it makes it much worse. So he's just been a weird season for him because, like you said, his main struggle last year was the walks. His walk rate is down quite a bit, and his ground ball rate is up, but he's just not generating strikeouts like the way he did last year. I mean, that's really where he was much better, was when he was.
He's probably lacking some life, and
when he was generating punch outs, he was better. Like I said, it was the changeup. As far as like his pitch usage, it's changing. I mean, earlier in the season, it was very heavy slider. Now, as time is going on, he's moving away from the slider a little bit, but still not really increasing the changeup usage. So I think they're still trying to figure out like what they want to do with him. And you have to keep in mind that this is a guy who came up as a starter. So this is his second year as a reliever, and he shouldn't be really used in these reliever type scenarios where there are men on base. Like, he's not really supposed to be there. He kind of got there by default because he did well last year when everybody else was struggling. So I mean, he like I said, he was supposed to be a starting pitcher. So it's just really tough. I mean, listen, maybe it gets better next year with all these 2-year deals the Mets have been signing, and they're gonna have more guys eventually. But right now, like you said, with no minor league options, he's got to figure something out. He's trying to make some changes. It hasn't worked, so they really got to decide like what kind of pitcher is he going to be, and that's what the great Jeremy Hefner is supposed to do. So we'll see if he's able to get it done.
Yeah. We'll see how they apply these things. Again, these guys always go through these tough stretches. But I feel like there's always these situations of like constantly shooting yourself in the foot. Like I really do. Even though, you feel for some of these relievers that go through these inconsistencies. There's a main reason as to why they're relievers. But the thing that I have here, it's like, if that was a mistake and it constantly continues to be a mistake, don't do it again. We talk about this constantly, of this, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We're seeing a lot of the same from Jose Budo, the slider usage and the constant uncompetitive pitches and there has to be some kind of middle ground that they find here, because he definitely has struggled. And to be honest, recently, I think out of this recency bias, I currently trust Danny Young to do a little bit better than Jose Budo at this current moment. And it probably will change. Who knows? Maybe I'll be saying, oh, Jose Budo was fantastic in this Arizona series. I don't know. But again, at the current wavelength, Budo has been one of the most untrustworthy relievers so far this season. And it's really true. Anything else? No?
And what Danny Young was so confusing to me is that like he was so great against the Phillies where he struck out Schwarber and Harper. And then in game 2, I mean, he was really solid again. I mean, striking out 3 batters. And the way the Nationals stacked their lineup, like most of their great players are left-handed hitters, and they stack them at the top. Like, this is a great opportunity for Danny Young, and it's like, there's certain scenarios where it's like you could have just used him to face the top of the order. Like, he's got to, if he can handle Harbor Schwarber, he could handle any lefties on any given day. Are there days where he could miss the strike zone? Sure. But if he can handle those lefties, he can handle the Nationals lefties. So, I mean, I wanted to, like, that was a really a good opportunity to see what you got there. Be like, okay, well, because you're not going to get teams that stack lefties like that, especially nowadays. So, like, this was, like, the best opportunity to use Danny Young, and he only pitched 1 game in this series. I feel like, and there was a game earlier in the season where series he did pitch 3 days in a row. So this whole like nobody could pitch back-to-back days thing, like you can't do it for everybody. Like, some guys are going to have to work back to back. Like, that's just the way it's going to go, especially in this series coming up. So I think that was a missed opportunity there. Like, maybe he could have helped settle this down, because they just let Budo and Brosman, to a certain extent, just go too long. I mean, you're asking these guys too many up downs. It really is just kind of wearing out their arms. So I really didn't like that. And it cost them in this series. And again, it was frustrating. These one-run losses, they stink, especially when you lead in both games. And even for game one, like, you know, the Mets make this comeback. And you're like, okay, here we go. We're going to end up winning this game. We're going to keep our winning streak going. And then for all that other stuff to happen, I mean, it really was just so frustrating.
Yeah, I'm not trying to declare that this, you know, bullpen is the worst in all of baseball now, but it's like, it was definitely a rough go at it, and hopefully they make those adjustments to the roster, and it seems like they are doing that. We just saw that, what is it, Brandon Waddle?
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's left-handed, so, I mean...
He is a lefty, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so, and then Jose Urena, for some reason, was DFA'd. I don't know why.
He threw 70 pitches. You're not going to see that guy in like a week anyway.
Why would they DFA him? For what reason? I mean, he was out there chugging, you know? He was fantastic.
He was
but yeah, he stinks. But anyways, it's not going to be something that
he did his job though. You know what? Because you know what?
He did do his job, and somebody asked, he got the save.
Though.
Yeah, he got the save. Yeah.
Yeah, I said go ahead. Like, there are still times where you bring a guy into a blowout and he just can't handle it, so you have to bring in another reliever anyway. Yeah, it's like, at least he still finished it out. It wasn't good, but we've seen worse. Like, because I said, if you brought Budo into that situation or Brosman into that situation and they blew up, like, they can't go almost 70 pitches, 60 pitches. So you would have had to take them out regardless. So he got his job done. He gave us like the one day we needed from him, and that was it. So it was somewhat successful.
Thank you for your sacrifice. I think it's just basically the process of watching that, where you're up 15-0, you're like, okay, dude, you're killing me. All right, you're killing me. Let's stop making this game even longer.
Yeah. A side note, but Garrett Cohen he's just such a troll sometimes. He's, when the Nationals start scoring, he goes, and the Nationals have begun their comeback. It's like a day after we just had that big bullpen meltdown. Like, you couldn't just let that one go. Like, and that's SOY. I mean, they're pretty messed up. While the disaster was happening in Game 3, what do they freaking show? Edwin Diaz versus Kurt Suzuki. It's like, really, like, and then it happened. Like, they just, I mean, why do they want to?
You know who owns that network? You know who owns that network? They still do.
Yeah.
You know that. You know there's trolling. Cool. It's like, welcome back. Cool. Remember this? Remember me?
I just
we'll see. It's most likely, if I were to be a betting man, I'd say that AJ Minter might be done for the year. It most likely is.
Yeah, I mean,
torn lat doesn't sound
how
great.
long does that take to rehab without surgery?
I have no clue.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just so risky, especially like we talk about with pitchers too. Like, it's, and for a reliever, it's not as bad because you're not working them up to so many pitches. But still, it's like we're talking about. It's that, like, even if Minter did come back, he's coming off of hip surgery that he just barely made the opening day roster. Now he's got the lat issue. So you have to be so careful with him that it's like, is it even worth bringing him back up? Like, you could only use him very, like, sparingly. So, and since he's a multi-year deal, would you rather just have him full go for next season? Like, that's something they're going to have to weigh if they decide no surgery. And if he's not progressing too well, they do have to consider that. Like, this guy is still under contract. He is going to opt in. So, I mean, they have to kind of look at the long game too.
Yeah, listen, I like the addition of AJ Minter. I wasn't somebody who was like, oh, get Tanner Scott and just throw whatever you want at him. I really did like the addition, but he got hurt. Guys get hurt. It happens. I don't know what to tell you. But as for guys getting...
Here, I got some good news for you. Ronnie Mauricio is playing shortstop tonight.
Sick.
So he is progressing a little bit.
Which also rides into the injury report, which I think is not updated. But we have Max Kranick on there, so I guess you can just skip over him. I'll move it to
Max Kranick.
Frankfurt.
What happened to him?
What do you mean, Max Kranick?
You said Max Kranick. Did something happen to him too?
Oh, did I say Max Kranick? I meant AJ Minter.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I was like,
not
Kranick
over.
too. Like, we're falling apart. Like,
we're done. Everybody. We're finished. Anyways,
okay.
Yeah, I just had some notes on Max Granick here, and I guess
Okay,
I
thank God. I was like, am I missing something? Like, so much is happening today.
All right, so not much of this stuff is updated, obviously, because we're seeing updates coming in right now. So we'll try to improvise the best way that we can. But I guess just skip over AJ Minter. So here's the injury report of five different guys.
Okay.
On the injury report, Frank, it is all yours.
Alrighty, so we're going to skip AJ Minter. If you guys just joining, he has a torn lat. Might have season-ending surgery, so he's going to be out for a while. So you won't be seeing Minter. Paul Blackburn, Mets pitcher, resumed throwing on Sunday after being scratched from his rehab start due to an illness earlier this week. The illness reportedly made him lose weight and his appetite for over the last week. And that's interesting because I lose my appetite when I watch Paul Blackburn pitch. The 31-year-old right-hander
When does he pitch?
Yeah, that's true. When he did pitch last year. The 31-year-old right-hander is scheduled to throw a bullpen at Citi Field today and will continue his progression without any further problems, hopefully. Blackburn was originally placed on the 15-day injured list due to right knee inflammation before opening day. Frankie Montas, Mets starting pitcher, is now throwing 120 feet. He is expected to throw a bullpen session soon. The 32-year-old right-hander has continued to stay on pace for a late May or early June return. Montas has been on the 15-day injured list since the first week of spring training due to a right lat strain. Sean Manaea, Mets starting pitcher, is currently throwing from 75 feet and will begin throwing on back-to-back days for the first time since suffering a setback a few weeks ago. The veteran southpaw is not scheduled to throw off a mound yet, but is getting close. Manaea has been sidelined on the 15-day injured list since the beginning of camp with a right oblique strain. The Mets have transferred Manaea to the 60-day injured list. Ronnie Mauricio, Mets infield prospect, began a rehab assignment on Saturday afternoon for Low A Port St. Lucie and went 1 for 3 with a single and a stolen base. The 23-year-old has yet to play a single game in the field until tonight. He will be playing shortstop in a little bit. So he's continued to recover from his ACL surgery that he underwent in December of 2023 after attempting to steal a base in the Dominican Winter League. Brooks Raley, Mets just signed Brooks Raley this week. They got him back, left-handed reliever on a one-year deal, including a team option for 2026 season. After throwing last week for 13 teams, doctors believe Raley will be able to throw rehabs in June. The 37-year-old side-slinging southpaw underwent Tommy John surgery with an internal brace procedure back in May of 2024. So it is pretty interesting when you think about what happened with Minter. It's like, here's this veteran lefty that the Mets bring in because they lost Brooks Raley last year. And it's like, well, guess what? Now Brooks Raley's going to replace Brooks Raley in a certain sense. Like the way it's like a full circle moment. And you know what? He's 37. He's not going to be the dominant guy he was. But I'll tell you what, I feel better about Brooks Raley than I do with a lot of other left-handed relievers. And let's add one more guy to the semi-injured list. I mean, even though he's not going on the injured list, Brandon Nimmo, like, what is going on with him? I don't understand this whole, like, he has some sort of flu. I mean, I put it here. He has some sort of flu. He played sick yesterday. It got worse. He's getting an IV, and then Mendoza today said he might be able to come off the bench. Now, listen, I say this all the time, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, but in my time on this earth, which has been quite extensive in Mets years, like, if you have some sort of flu, you don't go to work because then you could get everybody else sick. So I don't know what kind of special flu Nimmo's got that is apparently not contagious, because if he was sick and playing sick yesterday and coming into the dugout might be getting everybody sick there, like, what are we doing? I mean, I don't understand, like, what kind of flu does this man have? Because it is always something. I just really... I don't know.
The RBI flu, apparently. I don't know.
I don't know.
The RBI flu?
That's what I thought it was.
We've had a lot of weirdness with Brandon Nimmo.
And how about this? He played his best game while sick. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
Go figure.
So did MJ.
It was his best game. It was a memorable game, not his best game.
Memorable game, I don't even think it was the flu. Actually, wasn't it like food poisoning or something? And everyone said it was the flu.
For the myth, the legend, it needs to be the flu game. I mean, it's not called the stomach.
Just like how Wilt Chamberlain benched like 800 pounds or whatever. Anyways, you know, I think, D saying the guy always playing better when he's hallucinating. We know that the uncooked chicken story, that was another thing.
The falling in the hotel.
he had
I think he had a walk off
game.
Then last year he fell in the hotel. He had this big cut, and he played great. So
I think it's pretty much evident before every game, since Brandon Nimmo has been struggling, and we have to go along with the bit here, I guess, since he continues to have good games. Before every single game, punch him in the eye. And I think we'll be fine, and then he'll start to produce. How about that? Does that work? And no, I'm not saying that on purpose. Okay, I'm just joking. That's a joke. Don't punch him in the eye. All right? That's, that could be $162 million down the drain if you do that.
I mean, the Mets have spent their money worse ways.
Yeah, they have spent their money worse ways. They still are. Anyways, order the Mets to stop eating Indian food. Yeah, who knows? I think. Listen, we have had a lot of different stories with Brandon Nimmo. The uncooked chicken. He was like falling or something, and then he had that walk off against AJ Minter, I'm pretty sure, last year or whatever. Then there was like something near the London series last year where they were like, "Oh, we're gonna look for him to get a concussion."
Hurt his neck. Yeah, because he had hit a wall a while ago. Yeah, he's
seriously, what would happen? Yeah, Oddville saying kick him in the nuts, he'll have a 1200 OPS.
Yeah.
If you
so another thing with Waddle is that he's either going to start tomorrow or be the bulk guy tomorrow. So that's also interesting.
Yeah, weird, odd. Yeah. I don't know. Might as well put Jeff McNeil on the mound to start the game because he can play every position, right?
I mean, that would give him even more versatility, wouldn't it? He would almost have every position played then. He still needs to catch, which he might one day at the rate it's going.
Shohei,
he is the emergency catcher.
Who I was told on Twitter, apparently, I don't know if this is correct, guys. Somebody fact check me on this. Apparently, Nimmo had 9 RBIs yesterday, and Shohei has 9 for the entire season. That's what I was told.
So Shohei was on the paternity list for a little bit. I mean, he's also he's coming off of off-season surgery for the other shoulder. He's trying to work on pitching a little bit. So, listen, I mean, and he almost broke Delgado's record. That would have been pretty cool. He was close, but Vientos was like, no record for you. I'm just going to hit this out the park. So, it was an interesting game, though. And listen, I hope it gets him going because,
it would be awesome.
He hadn't been himself. So I do hope it gets him going.
Unfortunately, I don't think that is going to happen because we've already declared his career over. Yeah.
But he did it pulling the ball, though. I mean, that's the other thing to consider is that both those home runs were to right field. And, I mean, his home runs so far this season
the 8th and 9th were also down the right field line, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, this season, I'm pretty sure all of his home runs so far have been pulled. Which was not always the case.
I still want to see the competitive ABs that we were seeing where he's
sure, but it's tough when you have men on base to just kind of be waiting. Like you have to be aggressive.
I know that, but I'm just saying it's like the don't swing at uncompetitive pitches, which it doesn't seem like he's doing.
Yeah.
But again, I think there needs to be a little bit more balance with Nimmo in order for that to be effective. And listen, he was great yesterday. Had the 9 RBIs. Was the main reason as to why
he hasn't hit a home run
we won that
center
game.
Field yet. Like he is like really pull happy. He has like 2 doubles to left field, but I don't know. It's been interesting. I don't know
because
he did have opposite field home runs last season, and he had center field home runs last season.
I'm not someone who really bashes on strikeouts as much because as long as you don't chase, it's still the good idea. If you're whiffing at things in the zone, it's whatever.
Well, his strikeout rate's actually down this year, like by quite a bit.
It is.
So he's just.
And everyone tells me he strikes out a lot.
I feel like it's just been some like weak ground balls that have been frustrating to the right.
I'm not here to panic to say that Nimmo's career is completely over and he's on the downswing and this is it. But again. Yeah, he did bat 6th in that game, and he did very, very well in the 6th position. And I think I had one of the lineups yesterday.
I feel like you did.
I had him 6 for one of them for tools. I think like a tools type of lineup. So I mean, again, wherever they move him into the lineup, it's fine. But again, if you want to move him down, if you want to,
and I feel like Vientos is waking up. I'm okay with putting Vientos clean up for now and just kind of going.
Too bad we got Marte batting cleanup today.
Yeah.
So
I don't agree with that one.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I
can't even specify it anymore. No. But speaking of some other performances, one that was kind of overshadowed by the bullpen completely collapsing in Game 3. Let's talk about Tylor Megill because I want to talk a little bit about the situation with the Mets rotation, because obviously they know that they have reinforcements coming in, possibly with Manaya and Montas. We'll see when they get back. We don't know the usual timeline, but it seems like after the All-Star break, both of them will be in full swing. But when it comes to Tylor Megill, we know that he was not expected to be in the opening day rotation, and then guys were continuing to get hurt. But I do want to do a rundown of what Tylor Megill has done so far, because he's been very, very
Carson,
impressive.
Guess what? More news.
What?
SNY exploring sale. Steve Cohen could buy network.
There you go. Sick.
So I better not see no more Nationals meltdowns while the Mets are having a meltdown against the Nationals.
Yeah, no more telling the story. But yeah, awesome. Anyways, back to Megill. Megill, I want to give a rundown of what he's done this season, because it has been very, very impressive. He's been throwing a lot more strikes. He has looked a lot more confident out there. We've still seen a few ding ups, and he's not going deep into games yet. But one thing I will say, he's continuing to do well in the month of April. As you can see that bottom line right there, in his career in April, a 2.31 earned run average, a 1.2 whip, a 3.61 fielding independent pitching, not giving up as many home runs. Still a little bit of hard contact that he's giving up, but again, he's avoiding the barrel. He's contact managing a lot better. We've talked about his fastball, which we know has tons of life to it, and it's something that he can touch to the upper 90s. It's usually in the mid 90s throughout the in-game, sitting 95 to 96. 18 inches of induced vertical break, as we have seen. Great VAA. Sometimes he's a little wild with it and overthrowing it. Slider can be a little bit weird. But overall, the changeup, it looks like, has kind of developed into this kick change type of thing that we have seen, with plenty of horizontal break from him, which maybe is something that he learned a little bit from Clay Holmes, who has been using the kick change a lot as well. The sinker has seemed to improve as well in overall bite, especially to the glove side as well. Just the overall run, 16 inches of run, as you can see on the screen right here. I'm pretty sure it was 13 last year. He also added, inches of induced vertical break to his fastball, like we have said before. It seems like he has been able to contact manage as well as striking hitters out. He has struck out almost 30% of batters that he has faced. The walks are down a little bit. He has an earned run average of 1.74, an expected ERA over a little bit over 3, one tick over 3. He has a 2.29 fielding independent pitching. Called strike and whiff percentage is almost 27%, which is a really good rate. He gave up his first home run of the season in this last start, but it was a solo shot to Dylan Cruz, who was killing us the entire time. He's on pace for it's like a 5-win season at this current moment. Who knows if he holds that up, but he's getting lots of swings and misses.
Baseball. I mean, he's got big expectations.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, again, I think, he's getting lots of swings and misses. He's getting a good amount of chases. The slider has improved, but it's still a little spotty, of course. But again, a very impressive start to the month of April, as I like to call it, dripping back in again, because we have seen this many, many times before, where Tylor Megill starts off great and it starts to tamper off. This has been, I'd say, I don't know if you agree with me on this one, Frank. This has been the most structured start to the season I have seen from him. We still need to see this continue, but it definitely looks like he's got a lot more confidence on the mound as compared to what we have seen recently. He has looked really good to start off the year. Still can go a little bit deeper into games, which is why I'm not, fully ready to jump out there, but we know what Tylor Megill is capable of. He's just got to show it. We've talked about it being mental before. So, Frank, what are you seeing from Tylor Megill? Is this finally the year where you're like, okay, maybe he's tapped into something, and maybe this is finally the year where Tylor Megill becomes a quality starting pitcher in the major leagues? We've seen stuff before, but we've seen it tamper off as well. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like this is the best chance for Megill to actually have something that might be sustainable and something that you might feel like, okay, well, he could actually have a good season this year. He doesn't need to get sent down like the way it's been. Because, I mean, when you're dating back to last year when they had to recall him up because of the inconsistencies that he has throughout the course of the season, he was awesome. I mean, so we're talking about like since he was called up in August where he had like one great start, but then in September, I mean, he also had 5 very good starts. So this is now we're talking from August of last year to now going into the end of April of consistently a very good pitcher. So that's what makes me feel better is that it looks like he's building off of what happened last season. It's not just, oh, just a great April. Like now this is something that is continuing. And I feel like the way he's going about his pitch mix, how often he's using everything, it's an interesting approach that he has, like his plan of attack. He has 5 pitches, but he's really just using 3. And the way the fastball and sinker are a very similar velocity, he's throwing them both like inside to right-handers. The fastball stays up, but the sinker comes down. Then he's got the slider as basically his off-speed pitch going the other way. Like, I just really like the way everything is kind of complementing each other. And I know he's someone that's had a lot of tinkering. He's someone that he's added new pitches. He's like always done something different here. But I feel like this mix, it's serving him well, where it's like he could occasionally use a curveball, he occasionally uses the changeup, but it's like he doesn't have to rely on it. So I like that he's got something that's working for him and he's sticking with it, and it's been very good as long as he's not I feel like he's been so good that's like I just don't want him to walk batters. Like I feel like his stuff has been so good. I want him to trust it, attack the zone, because if anyone is beating Megill, I mean he's beating himself, because if he's not putting extra traffic on the bases, he's generating a ton of strikeouts. So I mean he's got hitters fooled right now. So I really like what I'm seeing. It's old school with the high fastball. I mean like that's how it was back in the day. You know, he's doing some stuff that another very good right-handed pitcher for the Mets did, outside of the sinker, who he got compared to when he was a rookie, but it's not there yet. But he is doing some really good things right now, and hopefully he keeps building off of it. So I know he worked also with his brother during the offseason trying to learn the grip, because I mean his brother has like absolutely nasty stuff as a reliever. So I like that he's a player who, even though he's been in the major leagues what seems like forever now, he's always looking for ways to improve. And I really like to see that from players. Like he's trying to make it stick. And so far, the adjustments that he's made, they really are paying off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that they really just had to find some kind of a median, because we saw that a lot of weapons he had last year. There was a cutter in there. There was a splitter, the American spork, whatever the hell it was. It seems like he was trying to find his footing while also being in major league games that count, and it was getting very frustrating because we were seeing a different pitcher every single time. When it comes to Tylor Megill, there's one thing that continues to behoove him. We all know what it is. It's overall consistency. Are we going to see the same pitcher the next day? So far, we are starting to see the same pitcher, and we're starting to see that pitcher who, as Carlos has mentioned it in the chat over here, saying he's getting into the 6th inning comfortably. He's able to make adjustments for third time around the order. He's able to contact manage. He's been able to strike guys out, get the swing and miss, have that type of median between that. And that helps you be a consistent starter. Now, one thing that I do want to say here is, yes, the walks can be something that he can walk a tightrope on here. But one thing I do say as improvement, as constant improvement, he is getting ahead in the count so much more. And that's the main reason as to why I have a little bit more confidence in him as compared to what we are seeing, where he has to fight back every single time in the count, where I mean, even we saw it this year against, against Miami in a cold day or whatever. It's like 5 straight balls out of the strike zone. He's behind 2-0 immediately. He's overthrowing
nine
things.
Straight out of the zone.
It
was crazy.
9 straight balls out of the strike zone. I mean, there was so much as to where we know that he can put it all together. We know that he has this talent. I've talked about Tylor Megill before. We have talked about it in comparison to guys like David Peterson or other guys here in this system. Tylor Megill has some of the best stuff on this starting staff. And that's not a knock towards anybody else. What it is the fact that this guy has the talent to be a really good starting pitcher. He just has to put it all together. Is most of it mental? Sure. And I know that most of it is mental because we know what he can apply. He has great graded out stuff, plus pitches out the wazoo. We know he can throw hard. We know he can get strikeouts. We know that if he locates, he is a good pitcher. And when it comes to Tylor Megill's overall consistency, he's used to the starter workload now, going over 100 innings. We've seen that happen before. Hopefully he goes deeper into games. We know that with the long relief options that we have here, it has been something, that's been a little bit more refreshing where you're like, okay, starter goes 5 innings. That's fine. It's okay. Hand it over to the bullpen. We have the long relief options that can give you the bridge to the back end of the bullpen. So that's not something that I'm really angered about. If he can give me 6 on a good day, that's fine. And that's what he's been able to do recently. He's been able to get into the 6th inning, work deeper into games, and find a little bit more of that consistency. Now, there is one thing that I do want to address here, because I feel like it's being a little bit conceived a little bit wrong. Because I feel like this has continued to go on long enough, and I've gotten complaints about it a lot, and we have tried to tamper the situation. But since we're in the Tylor Megill topic, I'm going to address it once, and then we're going to move on. One of our buddies, Ken Thal, in here, is saying that I'm sure Carson voted no on the Megill poll, which again, I can't vote because again, this is the Mets weekly account. So I'm allowing you guys to vote. We have a poll that says if this is the year that Megill finally puts it together. I don't know. First of all, I don't know what the constant, what it's been conceived as. But I feel like I've been the biggest Tylor Megill supporter since the very, very beginning. And I think we have constant proof of that on our channel of me saying that I know that this guy is capable of things. So I don't know where you're completely, you're completely misconceiving that, because I was one of the biggest Tylor Megill supporters when everyone was saying him as an absolute dud and nobody wanted to see him pitch. So first of all, that is not true whatsoever. We have constant videos. We have a video of me calling him a potential ace at one point, and the Mets kind of tinkering with things and all these adjustments just not doing him justice, and it was really making him a volatile pitcher. So that's not correct. As for our show partner with that troll, I'm going to guess it's Andrew because that's our third mic. He's our third mic. Sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. And calling us the biggest Mets fans, most negative Mets fans ever, I don't know what to tell you at this point. How it's being completely perceived as we're just being as constructive as we possibly can. As for things that are not being constructive, Ken, we have had many times where you are insulting people in our chat, going after them directly. I have gotten complaints about it, about some people that don't even want to chat in here because of you constantly attacking people in the chat. So again, if we're too negative, if this is something that you're taking so much to heart, again, I'm addressing it fully to you. If this is something that you are taking completely to heart and it's something that you can't deal with, you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch. There's an option. I'm sure that, again, that's the thing. I'm sure that there is an option. No one's forcing you to be here, because every single time you always have a problem with somebody in the chat. You always have a problem with somebody on the panel. And again, we are all great to disagree, but to constantly be aggressive like this and constantly try to disrupt the show when we have plenty of things to talk about and everybody wants to, stop trying to ruin the experience for everybody else. I'm going to tell you this right now, and I'm not going to address it for the rest. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm telling you right now publicly, because this needs to stop. Frank, if there's anything you want to add on that, go ahead. But again, I can't constantly be doing this back and forth over and over again, where he's attacking people in the chat and he's attacking people on the panel, because these are Mets fans. These are Mets fans who want to talk about the New York Mets, and they don't need to feel like they are attacked, because I have gotten constant comments about this. I've gotten constant messages about this in the chat. I can't have this happening constantly where people are scared to say things in a chat where we encourage people to be brutally honest and give their opinion.
Yeah, I mean, listen, guys, we do it live for a reason. I mean, it'd be much easier for us to not do this live, but we do it so that we can talk to you guys, so that you guys are a part of the show. I mean, that is part of like what we want to see. Like, we encourage you guys to chat, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on X, whether you're watching on playback. Like, if you want to leave a comment, it may be something that we can get into next time, or better yet, you see on the bottom left of the screen the voicemail. Like, I mean, you could contact us on Twitter. We will get back to you guys, and like, that is what we do. So no matter what it is, like, we will have conversations with you. So we, like Carson said, we are encouraging it. And I'm watching the chat. So if someone's in here acting crazy, they're going to be gone. So like Carson said, don't feel like nervous or like you don't want to. Like, we strongly encourage it. Like, we want to hear from you guys, especially right now. Like, the Mets are 20-9. They're playing, all in all, very good baseball right now.
Yeah.
So like, it's an exciting time as a Mets fan right now. So let's talk about it. Let's enjoy it, because we've done this show for years where the Mets were not very good. And, we've done live, we've done not live. And I know I can vouch for Carson, because as someone who's been here the whole time, I've argued with this guy about Tylor Megill for years.
Yeah.
Carson and I have screamed at each other over Tylor Megill and about how much Carson stands up for the guy when he's not doing good. And I'm like, this man's getting sets in the minors. He never comes through. He only in April. Like, and Andrew said, we've argued with Carson constantly. So that's just flat out not true.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to, like,
but there's no hard feelings when we do that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no hard feelings.
Well, I'm still talking to him. So it's like, there's constructive criticism. We could disagree on a player. Like, if you guys think that's someone's playing great, we're all down for the conversation. I mean, that's part of what we do. There's no total right or wrong sometimes for the most part. But overall, it's like, if you're going to comment, at least be true. I mean, at least be accurate. Don't say stuff that is just flat out false, because that we've argued for too long. We talked about it for too many years for you to just say the total opposite. So whether you're watching on my channel, Mets Weekly channel, Carson's Twitter account, Mets Weekly Twitter account, whatever it is, you always can reach out to us, whether it's on Twitter, anywhere, and we will always get back to you guys. Like I said, we love to hear from you guys. What we say in the beginning of the stream is not just for fun. Like, when Carson starts off every single stream that we do, sometimes 2 times a week, 3 times a week, we want to hear from you guys in the chat. We want to hear from you guys in the comment section. If you're being ignored, you're not being ignored. You're being starred throughout the show. I have it memorized because I heard him say so many times. I don't want to hear him say it over and over for fun. It's because we mean it. We do want to hear from you.
Yeah. Again, it's all just being completely honest in that way, and I'm saying everything going forward, and I'm not going to address it anymore. If we're going to continue to have this issue, we'll go to different measures that we're going up. Just ignore it constantly. But I've gotten way too many complaints from this constantly, and I can't continue to have that disrupt a show where it's about baseball and it's not something that is a life or death situation. I just can't have that happening before. And we've had other people that we've had issues with as well. But I had to address this because it's been a constant issue over and over again. I'm not trying to single anybody out and piss anybody off, but I mean, it's only so much that we can take at this point. Like, again, if you're disrupting our show and you're trying to get so much attention for every single thing that we say a lot on this show. So again, I don't know what to say anymore. Of, if we're not getting you to a certain comment, you want to make some kind of assumption about us, it's whatever. But at some point, it shouldn't go to a level where you're just brutally insulting us or brutally insulting people in the chat. It just cannot happen. Now, speaking of brutally insulting, actually, that's not a good segue, but I do want to get into a segment that won't be relevant until that will be the next stream, which will be in May. So I'm going to do it as of right now, and that be my top 5. So I have a top 5 list that sometimes I come out here. Some guys tear it apart. You guys give your opinions on it, and you guys tell us what you guys think. And you guys tell us, all of your opinions going forward. Like we say, brutally honest here. So, other than that, I do want to get into this top 5 of my top 5 April performers so far for the New York Mets. Some of you will disagree. Some of you will agree. But these are my top 5 picks for the best players in the month of April for the New York Mets. So let me know what you guys agree with, what you disagree with in the chat. We are open to that discussion. So here it is, my top 5 players in the month of April for the New York Mets based on their performance. We're going to start off with number 5, and that being Max Kranick. After a spotless campaign in spring training, Kranick has carried it over to the regular season as one of the Mets' long relief options out of the bullpen. Since day one, the Mets have thrown this man into the fire, and he has escaped with very few scratches, posting a 2.55 earned run average, a 2.71 fielding independent pitching, and retiring 53 of the 65 batters that he has faced across 17.2 innings pitched, and only walking one batter all season. The most impressive part about this is the situations that he has gotten the job done in, whether it is one-run games, tie games, bases loaded, relieving injuries, or just saving the overall bullpen in usage. Although the swing and miss numbers aren't very high, his highly graded arsenal has been able to give him the ability to contact manage, with all 5 of his pitches inducing below quality of contact in 2025 so far. In his first established season after battling multiple injuries over the past few years, including Tommy John surgery, Kranick has now passed the first tests with flying colors. Is it possible that the Mets are overusing him? Maybe. Do we know how long this is going to hold up? Not really. Either way, the Mets are in first place for a few reasons, and Max Kranick is one of them. Number 4, Luis Torrens. After the Mets lost Francisco Alvarez to start the year, Luis Torrens has stepped into the catcher one role to start the season, and he has been a silent hero ever since. With base runners running all over the Mets to start the season last year, Torrens was a breath of fresh air behind the plate and has continued that outstanding defensive prowess this year. He has thrown out 46.1% of base stealers since joining the Mets, which is first among catchers, sitting in the league's 100th percentile, not completely qualified, but in the 100th percentile because there's enough attempts, in a 100th percentile in pop time to second base. But while also calling a great game, Torrens has also had a really good impact with the bat as well. Despite the Mets' struggles with situational hitting so far, Torrens has been one of the best in that category, slashing 412, 447, 474, 588 with runners in scoring position, and he has also posted a 335 weighted runs created plus in high leverage situations. He's also landed in the 82nd percentile in average exit velocity, the 90th percentile in expected weighted on base average or in quality of contact, and in the 95th percentile in hard hit rate across 47 batted ball events. Although his playing time will be diminished a bit with Alvarez back from injury, Torrens' impact should not be overshadowed as just a backup catcher. This isn't one of those high floor defensive catchers that can't hit for their life like the Mets have had in the past. It's a great problem to have in the catching situation, especially compared to what we've had in the past, and it is a good problem the Mets have not had in a long time with this certain position, as I just said. Number 3, Francisco Lindor. After starting the season 0 for 13, it really started to look like the usual grimacing start, no pun intended, that Lindor has gotten off to in almost every single year he has been with the Mets. But once the clock strikes April 1st, Lindor has turned on the jets that have fueled him since he has moved to the leadoff spot last year. To start the year, Lindor has slashed 304, 367, 473 with 9 extra base hits, 5 home runs, 14 runs batted in, and a 138 weighted runs created plus, including 8 multi-hit games across 128 plate appearances. With his plus base running and generational defensive range at shortstop, it still seems like Lindor has yet to hit his stride this year despite the strong start. After following back-to-back 30-30 seasons, technically it was 29 stolen bases last year, and finishing second in the NL MVP race last season, Lindor looks to be on pace to top himself again. Amid the knee-jerk criticism that he has faced throughout his Mets tenure, if you don't trust this guy to lead your team to battle now, I don't know who you prefer. And after being named captain of Team Puerto Rico for the WBC in 2026, is it time for the Mets to do the same? We'll let you decide. But I can say the answer to that major question is, I guess that you'd say, what can make us feel this way? The correct answer right now is Francisco Lindor. I don't think you can answer that with anybody else at this current moment. Lindor is off to a fantastic start to start the season, something we have not been able to say so far in his Mets tenure. Number 2, Kodai Senga. Not only was 2024 a heartbreaking loss season for the Japanese star, it also drove Mets fans to forget how good Kodai Senga really is. With the Mets taking it slow for the 32-year-old right-hander to start off 2025, it has paid off dividends so far. Senga has posted a 1.26 earned run average, a 2.81 fielding independent pitching, striking out 22.5% of batters across 28 2/3 innings pitched in his first 5 starts, along with his fastball sitting at 95 to 96 and touching 98 multiple times already. Senga's signature ghost forkball is back to vigorously haunting batters once again, registering a 43.1% whiff rate and a 196 expected weighted on-base average or quality of contact on a 28.5% usage this season. This is yet another reason why I was never panicking about this quote-unquote weak Mets rotation going into the year, because a healthy Kodai Senga is a front-line starting pitcher. And at his very best, which we have seen this month, he is the ace of this staff. It's great to have him back on the mound. And number 1, indisputably, Pete Alonso. Boy, it is great to have this guy back. And no, I don't mean the fact that they re-signed him, because that was a complete nightmare this offseason in the process of things. I mean it in terms of the fact that it's great to have this Pete Alonso back, the feared power bat, the run producer, and of course, to the fandom, the polar bear. After a frustrating 2024, Alonso has begun 2025 with vengeance, flashing us back to production, outplaying his historic rookie year in 2019. To start the year, Alonso has slashed an OPS over 1,000, which is first in the NL. He is also third in batting average at 337, second in on-base percentage in 453. He is second in slugging at 635. He is second in runs batted in at 27, with 18 extra base hits, 6 home runs, and a 201 weighted runs created plus. After being one of the worst hitters with runners in scoring position last year, Alonso has turned that around completely this year, slashing 345, 487, 759 in that department, and he has posted a 962 OPS in high leverage situations, not to mention the biggest improvement from last year being his swing decisions. In 2025, Alonso has landed in the 72nd percentile for chase rate and in the 59th percentile in whiff rate, with his expected weighted on base average, quality of contact, against his nemesis, the breaking ball, climbed from 259 in 2024 to this season 453. I know it's early, but I think it's safe to say that Alonso is currently making an early bid for the National League MVP. Either way, if you disagree with that, it is great to have Alonso back. This powerful shit wrecker that we all know that he's capable of being. So there it is, my top 5 New York Mets players in the month of April. This was rough because, again, the Mets are one of the best teams in baseball, or if not the best team in baseball by record. Frank, I will go to you. You can tear this apart the best way that you can. There is my top 5 in the month of April. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, very good. Churro makes a good point here. Reed Garrett was like the other honorable mention. Like, I wonder if he had made like your number 6 on the list. If you had to do like another.
I had
spot.
Reed Garrett. I had Reed Garrett as an honorable mention, and I also had the which reliever was it?
Static?
I think I had Stanek, but then the whole blow ups in this series, I was just like, let's veer away from that.
Yeah, no, I think you made the right call here with Kranick, because even though Garrett has been great, Kranick has thrown 6 more innings than him, and in the bullpen, that's actually a lot in a month. So with Kranick, he's just been brought into so many different scenarios, like go 1 inning, go 2 innings, go 3 innings. Go when we don't expect you to, come in twice due to pitcher injuries on like literally no notice. Just like get up and go in. I know you warm up when you get to the mound, and the rule is you get as much time as you need, but still, like that's not an easy thing for a pitcher who is so inexperienced in the major leagues. So like as far as expectations, the value that we got out of Kranick is absolutely sensational. So I definitely think that has been huge. As far as when it comes down to number 3 and number 2, by wins above replacement, Senga is number 2, but for me personally, I give more value to the position player only because Lindor is making an impact literally every single day besides the game that he missed for paternity leaves.
Listen, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I would agree with you, but he booed the fans.
Senga's just been so good that
he booed the fans though. So, I think you gotta move him down a little bit. Sorry. But,
yeah, still holding on to that. But I feel like just the position player just has just more everyday value, because when we talk about like why are the Mets 20-9, I feel like Lindor is a bigger reason than Senga. I mean, not only to do it offensively, but he does it defensively, and just the way he's done it, like leading off of games. I feel like if the guys behind him, particularly Soto and Nimmo, had driven him in more, the Mets would be in an even better position, because Lindor is putting them in a position to succeed with how frequently he is getting on base, especially start off games. So I feel like if your leadoff man is either hitting a home run, which he's done a few times this season already, or putting your other hitters in great position to score early, that makes everyone's life so much easier, especially for the pitcher. Like for the pitcher to start the game with a lead, like he's able to just relax and just go about pitching and not have to worry like, oh, I got to be very, careful with where I'm pitching, and then I might be too careful, then I end up nibbling and I walk batters. So I feel like Lindor, he just, as we know, he has so much of an impact on this team that even if all the stats don't show it, he definitely just creates so many different ways to win, and like he's out there literally every single day. So Senga, I said, he's been good. He was on the pitch count limit earlier, but they've started to let him go a little more these past few starts, and he's been awesome. He had the scoreless streak for a while. I mean, as far as the play behind him, like we've talked about with the mental mistakes, it hasn't done any favors, but overall he's been good. And a huge shout out to Luis Torrens. I mean, another guy, as far as like, we talk about expectations, what the guy gets paid. We talked about it before, but like when Alvarez went down last year, like that was a big moment in the season, and the Mets were struggling. Yes. They didn't really have another catching option. But now that you have Torrens, it's like for the Mets to be one of the best teams in baseball with no Alvarez. I think it just shows how much of a night and day difference the team is from even the beginning of last year. So that's really big. And then Pete Alonso, it's like what hasn't been said already. I mean, he's been one of the best players in all of baseball all month long. So I mean, he obviously deserves number 1. He's been huge, and he's just stayed with the approach. I mean, I really like that his walk to strikeout, he has 1 more strikeout than walks. Like, he is still right there, which is very non-Pete-like, and I'm just proud of him because he's not overdoing it. I feel like we talked about with Alonso is that, like, sometimes he was so good that we wanted him to just kind of bring it back a little bit. It's like, don't try to kill the ball. Don't swing super hard and chasing. Like, you know what? If the ball's in the zone and you put a decent swing on it, good things are going to happen with your natural power. And, even though the guys behind him are struggling and they're pitching around him every now and then, he's not letting that make him be super aggressive. He's just like taking what the pitchers are giving him. And even when he does chase on the outside corner, he's not falling over as much. He's still able to keep a balance. He's able to work competitive ABs. Like obviously the one against the Marlins, but he had that at bat where he was chasing the sweepers off on the outside corner, which he struggled with so much last season, but was still making contact with it. Like he was still staying in the at bat, even though he was swinging at the same pitches as last year. He was still staying in the at bat, and it turned out to be a huge home run. So he's been huge for this team. I mean, we know how much these guys have struggled with men on base. Not Pete. So I mean, if everybody could be more like him with men on base, this would be a even better team.
Yeah. Again, we also know we have some other that have struggled. Somebody said in the chat, Jay-Z, again, I don't know if this is Beyonce's ex-husband or whatever, but he's saying, the Mets should have 3 guys comfortably in the top 10 for the MVP at the end of the year. Yeah. You notice there's somebody not on here.
Yeah.
There's somebody not on here, and I think we can all agree he hasn't been a top 5 player in April.
Which, again, I mean, considering how much they paid him to still be one of the best teams in baseball with him being well below expectations, like that's a really good testament to the group.
It's a it's a statement there. They have the best record in all of baseball without him, world beating the way that he has. But again, if he gets going, that would be freaking awesome. It would be awesome to see because we know what this offense is capable of. And I think that that's the one frustrating thing about it is when we see them leave a lot of things on the table. This isn't a 2013 type of style lineup that the Mets had where they were bringing out a bunch of scrubs from the Long Island Ducks. I mean, this is a good lineup. They got a lot of good guys in this lineup who can do a lot of damage. And I feel like when it comes to this offense, they just leave a lot on the table. And when it comes to not leaving things on the table, Pete Alonso hasn't done that. He's maximized every single possibility as compared to what he was doing last year, which he just was not great in runners in scoring position. But again, we are begging Pete Alonso to produce like this. If he produces like this, that means that this team is going to do well. And again, I'm not saying that, Juan Soto, he doesn't have to pick it up because he definitely does. But again, when it comes to Lindor, the only reason I don't have him too, I feel like the only thing that bumped me down, again, I said it in my notes there. I feel like there still is more left to be desired right now with Francisco Lindor of his all-around game. We've seen a few defensive miscues from him. I want to see a little bit more of the base stealing too. It doesn't seem like we're seeing that too, especially with Soto grinding into double plays.
I feel like it has to do with Soto. That like
it may.
I think that Pete's been swinging it so good, and Soto's a good enough player to I feel like they don't need it. Like they don't want to risk it. Like you know what, if you have a man on for Soto or Alonso, you're basically already in scoring position, so to speak. But to your point, I mean, Juan Soto's ground ball rate being now at 58.1%.
Yeah,
like. That's pretty high. I mean, that is more than half the time. If he hits the ball, it is going to be on the ground. And Soto's not beating it out all the time. So, like you said, a lot of times it could be a double play. And if Lindor's so good in the first inning, it just kills the momentum right away. So, I would like to see him just be, like you said, at least a slightly more aggressive. I go for a few more for now. Because, I mean, for Soto, just real quick, that ground ball rate, it keeps going up. It's something that, like, I noticed a few streams ago. And it's something I check before every stream, and every time I look at it, it's increasing. So that's the thing that concerns me is that like it's been an issue for the season, for the month so far, and it's not improving. In fact, it's getting worse. That's been my most concerning thing with Soto is that he's hitting on the ground a ton, and it's still staying on the ground.
Well, he's got like 14 plus years to turn it around. So again,
to lift the ball, you got 14
lift the ball.
years
So
to not hit the ball on the ground.
Again, can we not go into the theory where he takes 22 away from Beatty and then turns into Beatty? That would be nice. But either way, Meloza's saying how many times has Pete Alonso walked last season compared to this season? Well, obviously it's not a full season yet, but if you're talking about walk rate. 10.1% last year, almost 15% this year so far at the pace that it's going. So, definitely an improve of swing decisions. He actually did not chase as much last year. It was more of just pitchers beating the crap out of him with breaking balls and him just not getting good swings on pitches in the zone as well. Yeah. But again, this is that you can't ask for anything better. From what Pete Alonso has given you so far in April. And I think that's the top 5 Mets. I mean, there's plenty of guys you can put on that list too, because there's been plenty of contributors as to why this team is 20-9 right now and sitting at the top of the league in record right now. Obviously, April doesn't define everything. We still have plenty to go. But so far, in the month of April, that's what I would say, is how I evaluate it as the highest contributor so far in totality. Either way, I do want to get into another way that we can break these things down, and that is, of course, with everyone's favorite segment for this 4-game series. Studs and duds. One player that was good in this series that we want to give props to, one that was not great, and we would like to hold accountable, not hate them. We're not insulting them, going after their family. We're not doing that stuff. We're just giving criticism. Again, just giving a reminder for some that need it. Thumbs up? Thumbs up. All right. Frank, your stud for these 4-game series that was so nuts.
Yes, so with full bias, I'm going to take my guy, Francisco Alvarez, because of the performance in Game 2. I mean, he hit the 2-run homer to the opposite field, and it was the only 2 runs the Mets got. And I think that was one of the other things that I was so frustrated about everything else that we didn't even really touch on, that going into the series, last episode in our preview, we were like, okay, we know Nationals have some talented players in the rotation, definitely in the lineup, but worst bullpen in baseball. The Mets should feast off the bullpen. And that was where the Mets struggled the most, was like the Nationals had gone like game after game scoreless from the bullpen. Yes. And it was so frustrating because like these were not good pitchers the Mets were facing, yet they could not put together any offense. And it stood out so much in that second game where like all they got was the 2-run homer from Alvarez, but it's like, Lindor gets on base a bunch of times, but Soto and Nimmo leaves him there. So it was very frustrating, but at least Alvarez, came back into the lineup. And as far as the approach, he's hitting it the other way a lot. He's hitting line drives. There's some ugly chases in there still, but overall, I mean, he has the power to where, like, if he does want to go opposite field, he can. We'll see how it goes in the long run, but it was nice to see him get his first home run nice and early.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Alvarez. My main thing here with him is you'll have 2 or 3 games where this guy completely destroys the baseball, and then he just disappears for a week. Like that's the main thing of what I've seen so far in his major league career. And he's still young. We'll still see where he can gain that consistency. And it seems like he's trying to be a lot more of a complete hitter. I still have the quality of contact concerns with him. But we'll see how they, how he continues to grow on it, and hopefully he stays healthy as well. So I'm hoping that he's out there, and obviously the impact was noticeable with the certain power where he homered in that second game that he was in. I'm pretty sure he got the scoring started in that 19-run barrage that we had in Game 4. So it was great to see. It was an encouraging series for Alvarez, and I think it's good to have him back. And again, with Terrens there as well. With this position, it's a good problem to have as compared to when we had James McCann and Tomas Nido who couldn't hit a lick, and we were just arguing about their, blocking for a second and their framing and everything, which Nido was better at and was getting paid league minimum at. So again, these are better conversations to have where you have 2 viable options at the catcher position, and you don't have who's more shit than the other or who's less shit than the other. I can, when we talk about debates like that, it's all really about who sucks less. That is a conversation where you feel like you're wasting your time looking back. Figuring out who sucks less, we just leave that to politics, right? Anyways, Tylor Megill, I got to give it to him. Fantastic start in this series. It got kind of foiled in stat line with, Jose Butto not being fantastic, but when it comes to, Megill, again, like I said, we had a whole rundown about this. So if you guys want to go back and look at our conversation about Tylor Megill, it's just the overall confidence that I'm seeing from him on the mound and not getting discouraged by base runners as well, being able to induce contact, expanding the zone a lot better. I mean, it looks a lot more like a complete pitcher that is actually ready to give you quality innings. And it's not somewhere where you're like, oh, hold your breath going into the 4th inning. He's going to just completely explode. And like you said, that consistency that he is gaining from the back end of the year last year, it's good to see him building on that because we've seen him have good starts before and then he just tampers off. So it's good to see consistency from Megill. He's even said it publicly. He's like, I'm looking for consistency. That is the main thing. That is my main focus here. It's not just about, airing things out to 100 miles an hour and getting a ton of strikeouts. It's about pitching. It's about executing. And that's what has been his main goal. And he has excelled at that so far. And he's had a great start this season because of it. Off to the duds. I think I know what department is going to get the most from this series. Frank, I will go right back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give it to Stanek. I mean, he was the guy suffering the losses in this series. So, I mean, that definitely was just very frustrating. He literally, I mean, we don't put too much stock into win-loss record, but when a relief pitcher literally gets credit for both losses, like something's going on there. So they elevate him to the position of kind of closer for this series because what's going with Diaz, we still don't really have much information. But Stanek had been really good so far. Like you mentioned, he was almost in your top 5 for the month. And then they put him in these scenarios. And yes, the defense, like there were issues behind him with Soto and Alonso and McNeil and things like that. But still, it's like Stanek is a strikeout guy. And in game 1, he didn't get any strikeouts. So it's like, if you don't get strikeouts, the ball is going to be put in play and these kind of things can happen. So if you're a strikeout pitcher that doesn't get strikeouts, this is what could happen. So it was frustrating. It's concerning because, it's just like such bad timing for you're seeing Budo really struggle. Then to also have Stanek struggle at the same time, plus Minter gets hurt, and Brazaban doesn't look as sharp, plus Diaz has all this going on. Like, it's just very unfortunate timing for all these things to be happening at once in the bullpen.
Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to completely, identify it as a completely cooked bullpen after one series, of course. But, when it comes to the, whole configuration of Stanek, more breaking stuff, man. You have good breaking stuff. Like you don't have to air it out every single time. And he's going to again, we've talked about him having back problems before. And we've talked about, some stuff where he's gotten hurt and he just wasn't himself. That's kind of how you're going to hurt yourself. He was touching 101, which is great. That's awesome. And he was getting some swings and misses, but he just was not executing. He has a great graded out splitter, 126 stuff plus. He has a 119 stuff plus on his slider. Like the breaking stuff, you got to use. Like he has a good breaking stuff. He's just got to throw strikes. And I'm not here to say that Ryan Stanek's career is completely over now after those two, outings, but they were not great. And I do agree, he was a dud in this series. And it also comes to show you, for those of you who tell me we need a new closer, that's why. Because not everybody can do that role. It's not just, he can get outs, and he got outs once. You need the best profile stuff, and that still comes from Edwin Diaz. And it more is just because of the usage of Diaz as to why they had to put him in that predicament. And I'm hoping that as the season goes along, Diaz can be used back-to-back days. That would be very, very cool. And I'm hoping that we don't have to elevate Reed Garrett because I like him in the role that he's in right now. So, again, just not great. And then also we'll add in yet another guy from the bullpen, Jose Budo, disaster of a series that he had. Obviously one of the main culprits as to why that 7-1 lead was blown. And he has not looked good. We already talked about it earlier. He just has not had a good stretch so far in April. Maybe he eventually turns it around. But they do have some decisions to be made with him if he continues to struggle like this, because like we've said, he's out of minor league options. So there is definitely a lot at risk right now for him and his future if he's not going to get going, because we have seen David Sturridge cut the cord on some moves that he's made. Jose Budo is not one of his guys, so he will cut the cord if he has to, unless your name is Adam Ottavino, who has dirt on the entire organization. Either way, I'm not trying to get to that point where the bullpen is so inconsistent where Adam Ottavino ends up signing on a minor league deal. So that would be great. Either way, Edwin Diaz is your closer. This week is the reason why. There you go. There's the lesson learned for you guys. Edwin Diaz, he gets $102 million for a reason. I know he hasn't been great. I know it's been rough for him. But there's a reason why he is in that role and why he's the most high-profiled out of the entire bullpen. He's the closer. He comes into the ninth inning, and your best reliever, it's all really about him. It's all really about him, and hopefully it does take off a workload. We'll see what the workload is, again, with Minter going down, which is just devastating. But again, we'll see what happens in terms of this series. Other notes that I want to talk about. I don't know if I've said this before, but I really, really like Daniel Murphy in the booth. I really like that. I really think that he is a really good asset. I think that he gives you a really good breakdown. Maybe he's not as charismatic as somebody like Keith. I don't think anybody's as charismatic as Keith because he just goes off the win. But again, these guys, Gary, Keith, and Ron, they're not going to be around forever. They're not going to be, in the booth forever. We'll see what happens with this. This is a potential sale of SNY. Ooh. But I know for a fact, I know that Steve Cohen, if he buys it, he's going to keep Gary, Keith, and Ron around because he knows what fans like. But again, it's one of those situations, where, going in and out where, I like having Daniel Murphy in the booth. There's some guys out there that I don't prefer and I don't think give the best analysis and just kind of freeze out there. But I really do like Daniel Murphy in the booth. I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but I think he gives a really good rundown and a really good balance as well as the new school and the old school as well, where he has a good concept of, how this game has been going recently. And I really do like it.
He provides good info, no doubt about it, but I just hope that the next time he comes back, it's not one of those West Coast games because with the way he talks, just like his tone, I'd fall asleep. I got to be honest with you. And it's not, for some people that might be a good thing. Like maybe some people struggle sleeping and need something to fall asleep to, would be great. But other than that, he did provide good information though, especially with the Nationals since he was with both organizations. That was a perfect spot to use him.
Yeah, and speaking of other organizations, one little note that I will get into. We saw some comments before the series from former Nationals player Jason Worth. I don't know if you guys saw this, where he was basically just ripping how he had absolutely no respect for anybody who turns into Mets fans. I mean, this is what he said. He said that if you live in New York, you have a choice. You have a very obvious choice. You can either be a fan of one of the most storied franchises, one of the greatest franchises in sports history, or the Mets. I have no respect for people that pick the Mets. Now,
coming from
is
a Philly
he possibly
and a
just
National?
Yeah, he was a Philly
Surprise,
and a
surprise.
National, so very, very typical that he would say something like that. But I do want to mention it, obviously.
He's doing better with horse racing than he has with baseball, and he got paid a lot of money to play baseball, but he's been better with horse racing.
Yeah, there was a reason why he was named Jason Worthless for quite a while. And it wasn't because he was such a fantastic player when he was with, was it the Nationals? He got paid with the Nationals.
The big money. The Nationals are the team that loves to give big contracts that just go by the wayside.
I mean,
they
weird
got a
thing to
chip
say
out of
right
it,
now.
but they've had some ugly contracts on their books.
They've had some ugly ones. I'm pretty sure they almost almost gave like a 5-year deal to Yoenis Cespedes. So that wouldn't have aged well. But we ended up getting him, and it worked out fantastic long term. But again, with Jason Worth here, dude. First of all, no one cares about you. Like seriously, like you're probably the most random guy from like anybody's like childhood. If they're in their 20s, you're probably the most random guy that maybe was good for a while. Again, listen, everybody's entitled for opinion, but it's like, yeah, like I'm going to care what Jason Worth has to say about the New York Mets. Maybe if I hear something from like maybe Bryce Harper or Ryan Howard, something like that, or a competitor that we know that played a respectable game and had a really good career. Jason Worth, you were good for a little bit, you got paid, and then you dipped. Like, dude, I don't need to hear that from you at all. And again, you were called Jason Worthless for a reason. And it's weird to hear something like that come out of his mouth when the Mets, as of right now, seem to be the talk of the town. And I'm not going to say that in terms of the Yankees fans, because again, I have some friends that are Yankees fans as well. Yeah, I know. Surprising that I have any friends. But anyways, when it comes to, the talk of everything with the Mets, personally, I don't really care what he has to say. I'm not one to really veer off to the Yankees because I've never really have had the big hatred for the Yankees that a lot of people do have. The full-on entitlement, it's something that's there that's very annoying. It can be. But again, I'm not someone who really worries about the Yankees. Personally, I take this more as a compliment, whether it was coming from Jason Worth's mouth or Ryan Howard's mouth or anything here. I take it more as a compliment because I don't want you to like me. Hate my team all you want. Like literally, I'm one of those people. It's like, oh, you don't like my player? Good. I'm glad you don't like my player because I like that source of energy. I don't care being the most hated team in baseball as long as my team wins. I don't know if that's how everybody else feels, but Jason Worth, no one cares, dude. No one cares about you. Like, you got your money, move on. Like, you were good for a second. Like, we don't need to hear from you. You're not a voice that is so important for baseball. You're not very important. We had a voice in Daniel Murphy, like I said, who was definitely a lot better with the Nats than you. So, again, just so odd. Weird timing. Probably just because the Mets and the Nationals are playing and they just played the Phillies or whatever. But dude, read the room. Read the room, man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, just flapping your lips for no reason for anybody that can hear it. So odd. Very odd timing. Very weird. And just stupid. I mean, you have no ties to the Yankees. We know he doesn't. Unless he grew up a Yankees fan. I don't know. But, like, dude, can it? Like, nobody needs to hear. Nobody needs to hear from Jason Worth on a regular basis. Like, dude, just can it. Anyways, is there anything else you want to add on that? And then we'll preview the next series.
Yeah, I mean, he was born in Illinois, so I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, my God.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's such a tie to the Yankees, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, Illinois, they traded Aroldis Chapman to the Cubs traded Aroldis Chapman to the Yankees, and then maybe he might have some animosity there. Like, you're connecting the strings. You're throwing strays at nothing. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Anyways, let's move on to the future, which is going to start in about an hour at 7 o'clock. Game 1, Mets versus Arizona.
Future.
Yeah, the very, very, very close future. Mets versus Diamondbacks. Now, going into this series, we will see how they, respond. From a road trip that was very crazy. It seems like Brandon Nimmo is already, taking a little rest there. But
apparently it's a stomach bug now, not the flu, but
it's a stomach bug. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoever's relaying this information, I mean, so much can change every minute. I mean, it's just like, oh, this is a stomach bug. You got the flu, whatever. But as for upcoming with the pitching probables, we have known for a majority of it, but there is one that is TBD, and that being Game 2. David Peterson will get the start tonight against Eduardo Rodriguez, who has had a rough go of it, more in the defense sense. Let's just say that. The defense has kind of screwed him, so don't take that completely to heart and say that Eduardo Rodriguez is completely washed because of his ERA. A difference between ERA and fielding independent pitching, if it's pretty wide like that, you know that the defense is really screwing him, and then he's also getting a lot of strikeouts as well. Game 2, like we said, Corbin Burns, we will face him, the guy that we were stupid not to overpay. He will face them in Game 2, and he will go up against, we don't know. We are not sure how it lines up.
Waddle in some
Probably
capacity.
Brandon Waddle, but it seems like the starter's TBD. Maybe we have an opener. Who knows? Game 3 will go to Kodai Senga. Hopefully he can continue his fantastic campaign so far this year. That will be at 1 o'clock on SNY. All 3 of these games are on SNY. He will go up against Zach Gallen, who we know is a young, he's not as young anymore, but he's an established starting pitcher in this game. He's gotten off to a rough start. But again, we have talked about pitchers having rough starts before, and they just buzzsaw the Mets because for some reason they just want to do that, and the Mets like to bail guys out. So there is your probables for pitching. We know that the National League West is very competitive right now. You have 4 teams, I believe, that are in contention, which is crazy to think about.
Everyone but the Rockies.
Everyone but the Rockies, who are god-awful. But I'm sure we'll talk about the Rockies eventually when we play
We'll
them.
have to. Yeah.
We'll eventually have to talk about them, but we will be facing Arizona as well on the road later on this week as well, after being sandwiched in between a road trip to St. Louis. So
Great
we're going to
scheduling.
see what?
Great
Yeah.
scheduling.
Fantastic scheduling, just so you know. Way to use the jet fuel. Let's just say that. But Arizona, we will be seeing for 6 games in the next 9. So we're definitely going to have to get used to how we can play this. We know that they have their pests in that lineup. We know that they have some star power as well. Corbin Carroll having a monstrous beginning to the 2025 season. Stuff that we can look out for here. Frank, I will give the floor to you here as to what you're seeing with the Diamondbacks, because it's definitely an interesting matchup. I think that it's a lot better than just their record, because I still think that they have a good amount of talent here as to where they can definitely give you fits. And we've seen them have success before. We know that they missed They missed the wild card because of our wrongdoing.
Yes, because we put a hurricane in Atlanta.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. But again, we know that they have some talent. We know they have hitters as well.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona's had a very interesting season. I mean, you talked about Corbin Carroll. I mean, he's got a crazy season so far, hitting 308, 1,043 OPS. But somehow, Pavin Smith has been even better.
Oh, yeah.
He's hitting 333 with OPS of 1,103. This is a team that they can hit a ton of long balls. I mean, Eugenio Suarez, he's been a prolific home run hitter his whole career, but he had 4 home runs the other day. Somehow they still lost, so that was pretty interesting. But you got to be careful with some of the guys in this lineup. But then there are some other guys like Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who's really been struggling, which is kind of surprising. But I feel like some people forget that, listen, Arizona was in the World Series 2 seasons ago, and this team isn't drastically different than the team that went to the World Series. So they still have playing time. Like I said, they just missed the playoffs. Still have a great offense. They added Josh Naylor for Christian Walker, and that's been an excellent move. So, I mean, huge props to their organization. And they're doing it without their best player, and that's Ketel Marte, who's a guy who's top 5 in the league, in my opinion, as far as all-around player. They're doing it without him. He's hurt right now. Maybe he's back the second series that we play them in Arizona. Maybe, but we'll see. So they're doing it without him. That's very impressive. But then things are just weird on the pitching side, because it's like you see somebody like Corbin Burns, who like you said, got paid so much money, been a perennial ace. He's having a rough season. Zach Gallen, who's been an ace, is having a rough season. Merrill Kelly, who's been very solid the past couple years, he's not doing too well. The fact that Brandon Pfaadt has been the best starter when he was supposed to be the number 5 starter is just very interesting. And as far as the bullpen, they've got, they want to talk about another big-time closer that must be seeing Justin Martinez. Here's a guy, sinker, throwing it super hard. I mean, they have just... Yeah. A lot of teams have really good closers right now. Yeah. We've seen a lot of them. Justin Martinez, another one. Shelby Miller, he's had a great season so far. He's got 11 innings at a 0 ERA, so he's been very impressive. And I believe AJ Puck is currently hurt, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So they've had some injuries in there, but they have some good relievers. Some guys who are struggling. Former All-Star Joe Mantiply, ERA of 16.
Manti?
So it's been an interesting year for them. And overall, they have been struggling the past week. I mean, they lost a decent amount of games. So we'll see how they come out. You're in Citi Field this go around, and like I said, the Mets have been very good on the home ballpark. But really, game 2 is going to be very interesting as far as what happens there with Brandon Waddle and the opener, and just how this bullpen has been, knowing all the games they have coming up. I'm curious to see how Mendoza goes about that, how aggressive he is, who's going to be pitching maybe more than they normally do. So it's going to be very fascinating as far as the way Arizona is. These guys that we talked about, Josh Naylor, Corbin Carroll, Pavin Smith, left-handed hitters. So I do wonder, that could be part of the reason why Brandon Waddle is called up. There'd be a good series for Danny Young to step up, especially with AJ Minter down. So
David Peterson, you're starting tonight.
David Peterson starts tonight. So, and Randall Grichuk is normally the guy, as we know, had the platoon last year with Jock Peterson. It's been a rough go for him too so far. No home runs. I mean, he's hitting 235. Jake McCarthy, another left-hander off the bench, he's been brutal. So they've had some. It's been you've either been really good with Arizona or really bad. They've kind of had that going for them. So I'm very fascinated by this matchup. Like I said, National League West has been stacked so far. Team has a lot of talent. You got to be careful with Corbin McCarroll on the base pass too. I mean, this is a guy that he could swipe him. So, there's going to be pressure on Alvarez. Same thing goes with Perdomo, the shortstop. He's got a lot of speed. So as far as the run game, how that's going to go, I'm curious about that too. And, if it does get bad, which, I mean, Alvarez did fine against the Brewers in the playoffs last year, but we've talked about it before, but if you see Marte in particular continue to struggle, the idea of maybe DHing Alvarez sometimes and having Torrens catch against specific matchups like Arizona is not the worst idea in the world with how it's been going for the Mets.
Yeah, we'll see how they figure this thing out. Of course, I'm looking at it. It seems like there's been a lot of defensive miscues, so maybe this is a match made in heaven. Because I'm seeing a lot of results from this Arizona bullpen. It seems like they're in the bottom 10, just like Washington in overall results, but it seems like they're expected to improve in that way. But who knows? At some point with that particular department of their team, we said that Washington.
I mean, Eugenio Suarez has 6 errors on the season. He's playing third base.
Yeah,
so, that'll do it.
Yeah, I'm seeing negatives from a lot of these guys defensively. So we'll see how they take advantage of things like that. Yeah, I'm seeing Arizona as a team. They have, as a team, they are -4 in defensive runs saved, and defensive value, they're also negative as well. And also in OAA, they've struggled as well in that department in overall range, but we know that their outfield can go get it out there.
Yeah, and not having Cattell does that. I mean, he's right in the middle at second base. He's an excellent defender, so not having him also is going to hurt their numbers too.
Yeah, we'll see how they, we'll see how they kind of, set this up. Again, Jay-Z saying we need Soto for this Arizona series. Absolutely, would be nice to see him hit his first home run at Citi Field. That'd be sick, wouldn't it? Daniel's saying Marte is batting 4th tonight. He's saying no Nimmo, no McNeil. Marte batting 4th, Azocar batting 9th tonight should be very interesting. We'll see.
But they're facing the lefties, so that's why McNeil is sitting. And Azocar, I mean, so far he's been good with the bat. So I am curious to see if he's able to build off of it. As far as Tylor being out there, he's just there because he's right-handed, to be honest with you. So we'll see. I wonder, if you already have Azocar in the lineup, and Mendy mentioned that like Nimmo might be available off the bench. Maybe you see a pinch hitter after Rodriguez comes out the game. So the lineup you see now might not be the lineup that they finish with. You're going to have Winker off the bench, so you could pinch hit with him too. So you could do something like you pinch hit Winker and then have McNeil come in. Like they have a few different avenues that they could go.
Yeah, we'll see how they kind of piece this, because we know that they have a decent amount of platoons too on this team. Like the Randall Grichuk, like we have seen, Jorge Barbosa, who I don't really know much about, but it seems like he's a switch hitter or something, and he's been someone that I think that they've put in for like pinch running or something. I don't know, but we'll see. How those matchups go. I'm hoping to see David Peterson start to give us a decent amount of boost. Maybe we get 6 innings from him tonight. That would be awesome. And then as of right now on Fangraphs, it is projected that Braden Waddle is projected to be our starter. So we'll see if he's an opener or whatever. And then, of course, Kodai Senga, who has been nails so far in that short workload that they've been slowing down for him. So we'll see how this goes. I don't like Marte batting 4th. We've talked about this before. He always has like these, little stretches, and then he just gets one big hit and then he resets the clock personally. So maybe there is one this day, but I don't understand how a team with this much offensive talent on paper has Starling Marte batting 4th. That makes absolutely no sense to me. Maybe somebody can explain it to me like I'm 3. I have no idea why that is a thing. And even though there is a lefty on the mound, I still would prefer Winker in the lineup at this current moment. I still would. I'm sorry. And maybe that makes you sound a little bit shorthanded, but I've seen nothing with Starling Marte as to why he should be in this lineup at all. I think we're now getting into the Robinson Cano territory very, very soon. If he does not pick it up, he just has not been good. And as I am saying that, he most likely will have hit for the cycle tonight. So go ahead and do it, Marte.
Go ahead, do it, please. Please go get it. I feel like my frustration more so is just the cleanup aspect of it, especially now that Viento's starting to swing it a little better. He drove in a good amount of runs this series. I mean, we didn't even get to really talk about it, but in the first game when he got that big blue triple that Dylan Cruz dove for, and they got all those runs to score, and they make the comeback, like that was a huge hit for him. And then because of the whole bullpen shenanigans, it didn't really matter. Kind of when McGill start, it kind of gets swept under the rug a little bit. But we're seeing Vientos start to drive in some more runs, and it's like we say, number one, reward him so you could build off of it. But number two is that if you want to move Nimmo to the number 6 spot, ideally you'd move Vientos to the number 4 spot. So like we say, if you want to have some semblance of consistency, let Vientos bat fourth and keep him there and see what happens. But if do Marte one day, Vientos one day, Nimmo one day, but
I say that all the time. They have a new lineup every single day. I don't understand.
This is another one.
Yeah, this is another new one where it's this guy's batting. The top 3 has been consistent. Everything else has just been let's piece this thing in. Figure something out, please. Please.
At this point, they might have a spin the wheel because even looking more at it, Acuna's batting 6th. Ahead of Alvarez, and I'm like, why?
I don't know if that's just more ABs against the lefty or something, but
I don't know. It's just very confusing.
I'm not a fan of platoons that much, and to be honest, with how the use of the bench has been, to be honest, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't be opposed to. I don't know if there's a limit on it, but if they can just shorten the bench at this point and just bring in an extra guy into the bullpen, I wish they could do that. But I guess they can't or whatever. Few other things that I do want to add here because it seems like so much news
Carson,
has been...
I have a solution. They could sign Joey Gallo and then sign him as a hitter, but he's a pitcher now, and then just have him pitch.
Is that a workaround?
I don't see why not. You say it's a player pitching.
Hey, hear me out. I think Joe Gallo will be a really good pitcher. I think he's going to be shutting us down as a member of the Braves next year. So,
that's
as for some of the other, as for some of the other news, I think we already mentioned that SNY seems to be for sale. Sal Licata, get ready to start flipping some burgers.
Wow, imagine no more Martino. Imagine.
Martino's got a lifetime contract there. We also got some sad news as well. Seymour Wiener, one of the the fallen heroes of 2024. One of the I think he was one of the first tokens of gimmick or memes or whatever. He passed away.
One of the first bits of luck, let's call it.
One of the first luck charms or whatever. So, he brought us a lot. I think they have a $5 hot dog deal or something in honor of him before he even passed away, obviously today at the stadium. I don't know if it was Seymour Wiener Day. I don't know. But it was obviously he's a veteran, right? He was a veteran of the game.
That was that was the whole thing that frustrated me. They were honoring him as the veteran of the game, and everyone's like, "Oh, look, a funny name." That wasn't the point of why he was there. So
well, that's just whatever. But again,
the guy's 90 something. Was he was it 94, 84, something like that? There was a 4 in him somewhere. It was in the front half. So it was
Yeah, he definitely was in his 90s, obviously, but he got to see us go to the National League Championship Series, so that's cool. Seems like he was a big Mets fan, so another move on from the gimmicks from last year. But as for some other random news that just popped up, Jay-Z saying that the Angels.
The news day?
I don't know. It's so clumped. We've seen this, but remember in the off season when 4 signings would happen and then 0 would happen for 2 weeks. But Jay-Z saying, expanding the news, saying that the Angels DFA'd J.D. Davis. Wow, interesting. So where is the J.D. Davis tour going next? Could it be Atlanta? Could it be Miami? Who knows? Could he come back here and replace Marte? I don't know. Oh, well.
If he could hit a fastball then, he can't hit it now. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
So that's very odd. Another update that we got from Anthony DiComo. Brandon Nimmo is sick today with flu-like symptoms, like he said, or it's a stomach bug. Who the fuck knows? It's a stomach flu, including a fever and weakness, which is why he's out of the lineup. He said he's in rough shape right now, but he could be available off the bench.
What kind of medicine are they giving these guys that he's going to be ready
what
later?
is it?
Like,
are we just doing like horse tranquilizer?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Where it's like, oh yeah, he'll be okay in an hour. We're just cooking him up, you know. We're preparing him right now.
They're getting him an
Like,
elixir or something. Like they
what
got
is
a
this?
wagon back there. Just what is happening?
What the hell is happening? Anyways,
If you're
whatever.
If you're feeling weak, you should not be swinging a baseball bat.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you. I don't know. Maybe he comes up, pinch hits later on today in a surgical mask. I don't know.
Against Justin Martinez too, where it's like you need
Against
to have
Justin
full
Martinez, and
power.
he'll obviously he'll walk it off because he's done so well in these performances. Where, again, like I said, you know, you got to put him in a tough predicament.
Apparently, I mean, I don't know.
Better sick than healthy. I don't know. Maybe it motivates him. It's kind of like the sinker ball, or what was it, Jared Hughes? Remember that guy? That guy
God.
where
How could
he
you
liked
forget
to
him?
pitch tired or whatever. Whatever works. Whatever.
It didn't
Anyways,
work.
It didn't work. I think he had like one good season. Then he just kind of
Wasn't with the Mets.
2020 was such a weird, odd year for everyone. But other than that, we're going to wrap it up here. We went 2 hours and 20 minutes. Jeez. A little bit more on the overtime, but game starts in about a half hour at Citi Field. Mets versus Arizona Diamondbacks. 3 games set. Mets looking to build off of a huge offensive explosion against the Nationals. I don't think they're going to score 19 runs today. But maybe they can try. They could try. We'll see. Would be awesome. We know that what this offense is capable of. But other than that, Frank, I'll turn to you for some following from some opening. Excuse me. I know what I'm talking about. Some closing comments going into this series, of course. Best record in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if they keep it. I mean, this is going to be a tough series, like we said, with the 6 days, the schedule, all the pitching things that have been going on. So since today is April 29th, and actually in 2016, this is a more recent one, the Mets had scored 12 runs in the third inning. So like you said, they scored 19 runs yesterday. They scored 12 runs in the third inning in 2016. So maybe today they'll do something weird in another inning with a lot of runs, hopefully. I mean, it seems like the stars are aligned to where offense is like in the forecast.
Yeah, so we'll see if that happens. Definitely an interesting lineup to see if they score, and if they score a lot with a lot of B team guys, that should be fascinating. Should give you some encouragement here.
Yeah.
I'm also believe that this was the day that the Mets pitched the combined no hitter. Tylor
Yes,
Megill,
it is. Yep.
Joely Rodriguez, Drew Smith,
And Diaz closed it out.
Diaz closed it out.
Against
Who
the
else was in
Phillies.
that? What was it?
I feel there's one more guy in there too.
There was one more guy, right? Well, James McCann caught it. That's the only thing that matters, right?
Yeah, and he's called multiple no-hitters in his career.
Yeah. It's always the gimmick. There was somebody else.
Yeah, who was
I don't
the
know.
other one?
Somebody remind us. Was it? God, I want to figure this out. It wasn't Ottavino.
No, definitely not. No, he wasn't in that game.
It was Drew Smith. It was 5 pitchers. McGill,
Mm-hmm.
Drew
Joely
Smith,
Rodriguez.
Joely Rodriguez, Diaz closed it out. Who else was in that?
Let's see.
God damn it!
I'll pull it up for you right now because
Yeah.
I'm doing.
I have no. I have no
It was
clue.
April 29th. It was against the Phillies. The other pitcher, Seth Lugo.
Seth,
Yeah.
Sethy.
How can we forget
Someone
him?
Yeah, someone who's thriving over there in KC right now. So, anyways, we're going to wrap this one up here. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening. We hope you enjoyed the conversation live right here on our channel. If you're watching on listening on playback, you want to join the conversation live in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel and turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok, which mainly features Frank's postgame, which will be after today's postgame as well. Coddled the Mets frankly post game, so make sure to follow us over there. Follow all of us individually, including our third Mike, Andrew, who is not here today. And of course, let's keep the good times rolling. Best record in baseball. Let's keep winning. Let's keep adding to it because we got a long way to go. So let's go Mets, and we will see you guys next time.